It's Monday. Good morning. Good Monday morning. And we have a little bit of an opening I'm going to do around values and culture. And of course, we have a few more lines coming right up. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn on your Monday. Hope you guys are doing well out there. I do apologize. It looks like we have a little bit of a lag on the stream. Good morning to Anarchy Television. Thank you so much for coming in. And um, I'm going to do this, as I have mentioned, a little bit off the rip, and that is a colloquialism for a little bit. There's, of course, there'll be structure, but I just, we're gonna be looking at a few things, or we'll do our big stories. But of course, we have some things that I'm that I'm entertaining, or that I've hypothesized on when it comes to values and culture, if you will. I want to be very careful with the use of that word going forward, as I do think it can be overused and misused. Not that I'm an etymologist or certified by any stretch, but I do think that sometimes things mean are sometimes words, I think, are manipulated, and they're a little bit disingenuous. And I've made that reference before when I've mentioned Orwell, when he's talked about politics in his own writings. So, but for starters, we're going to start off. I'm going to start by thanking everybody for tuning in to this segment, especially our loyal patrons and subscribers, as well as the followers over on, and I said not followers, as well as the friends over on Periscope. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as I always say, as a housekeeping rule, it would be nice if you could help us by feeding the AI on your Monday morning. And you can do that at any time by just simply hitting the like button, the unlike button, daring to share out the stream. It's all forms of support around here, and just making sure you're still subscribed. I think that's one of the most what I call a baseline support. And just gonna give a word of thanks to our sponsors. I'll be right back. Thank you guys so much for joining me and choosing to join me. Or if you're not sure if you're joining, thank you for considering. I'll be right back right after this. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I want to say a warm hello to everybody that's in the chat, and that is Anarchy Television. You are most generous. Thank you so much. And good morning to you and Unique View. Good morning. And Steve Willis. And thanks so much. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on this segment. And as I said earlier, that we would talk a little bit about talk a little bit about culture, and that word gets thrown around a little bit. And I'm also going to share, we're gonna have a little bit of it looks like a media meltdown, and a little bit of I guess, a little chastisement is what I'm gonna call this, coming out of, I don't typically deal with mainstream media, but I just thought that their little meltdown was a bit, what exactly are they reacting to? And I'll give you my assertion on that. And I want to thank you guys so much, again, for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. And so yeah, and then I thought, well, and then I have one other piece that it might come off like a rant, but I don't know if you guys want to vote for a rant right now. Are you guys interested in you guys want a media meltdown, or you want a straight up meltdown, straight up, or with the whipped cream? I mean, I can do, a rant, a meltdown. To me, they're kind of in the same vein, is what I'm on about right now, first and foremost. So thank you guys so much, for tuning in. Steve Willis, Unique View, and Anarchy Television. So, and I'm gonna start this in just a second. I actually found it a little bit. I appreciate that, Anarchy Television, and but what I want to do is, this rant that I'm going to be on about is going to be, we'll put it in that little cultural vein, and I will do my best to make the case, for the dots that I'm or the points I'm trying to connect here. But I just thought, to start this thing off, why not do it in media style? I know some of you are not mainstream media people or audiences either, but I think, to me, this particular clip or audio that I'm going to show you, I think I think they're responding to something that they don't want to say, and I think it speaks to what we're dealing with. Oh, not to mention, don't forget that we're less than 24 hours out from the popcorn holiday tomorrow, and I don't know, maybe you should go on over to Popcornopolis or whatever, wherever you get your fine or your gourmet popcorn, or even if you're doing can I say, the Orville Redenbacher, whatever you choose, dress it up however you want it. And but yeah, I think this is actually going to be like a popcorn week or something. Who knows? But and I got that wrong yesterday. But so yeah, sorry about the popcorn digression there. But we can't leave out such an important holiday, because it's been mentioned by so many. But I'm thinking that we're in a time in which we can't quite seem to agree. We can't quite seem to agree on some of the most foundational, or most, can I say, fundamental kinds of institutions, or values. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. We can't quite agree on the truth. We can't quite agree on history. We can't quite agree on absolutes. We can't agree on genders, or the number of genders, or what it means to be, free, or what it means to be, I don't know, even informed. I mean, basically, I think what's happened is we're even being tested on, we can't even agree on what we see. We see one thing, but then we're being told something else, or something else is actually being reported. So with that said, I'm going to say, we're going to have a look at this meltdown, and I'll get back to, I'll give you my take on the meltdown. And if you absolutely detest multimedia, if you want to walk away, lock the door, run away, cover your eyes or something, or put your headphones in or something, or take them out, for the lack of a better plan. But we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and share this clip with you, and it's going to come from the Talking Heads on, I guess that's MSM. So I'm going to share that with you right now, and then we'll talk about the inconsistencies whether it be, historical, political, or whatever. We'll talk about it. So I thank you guys so much. And I'm willing to listen to anything from Anarchy. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Steve Willis says, Raina, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna give you the we'll do rant one. We'll do what I'm calling a meltdown. We'll give you the mainstream meltdown from mainstream talking heads, and we'll go with that first. I'll be right back, guys. Good morning to you, alien believers. Hope you guys are doing well on your Monday, and I'll be right back. So we'll get started with this a bit of this first meltdown for you.
At Facebook actually promote this extremism. They promote the extremism within.
But to her point about, getting ready for Joe Biden, if this is some sort of last minute suck up to Joe Biden by Twitter and Facebook, all you've done is shown just how impactful everything that you've been doing so far has been in terms of spreading disinformation. You have shown how it drops the minute you actually take action. You have shown that you should have done this a long time ago, and perhaps there wouldn't be people dead. Perhaps there wouldn't be people following false scientific information about the coronavirus. Perhaps there wouldn't have been some sort of insurrection at the Capitol that was promulgated all over your sites. Perhaps there wouldn't be so much hatred and disinformation. You have shown that. It drops just by one random act that you decided to take at the very last minute. I mean, really, honestly, the leadership at Facebook is pathetic.
They're
Sheryl
shameful.
Sandberg, Mark Zuckerberg, you guys are pathetic. You make absolutely no reason about your actions. You could have done this a long time ago. You decided to do it now. I wonder who's going to be president now. Maybe this will make him happy. No, you've just shown him why you need to be shut down. You need to be shut down. Nobody needs what you have to offer. You have destroyed this country, and quite frankly, it's still happening right now.
Well, and not just destroyed this country, destroyed democracies across the globe.
I'm sorry, one more thing. They're little Sheryl Sandberg, and we're going to get better. We're trying hard. We're working so hard. Who are you to say that? Follow the law. Follow the law that publishers have to follow. Follow the restrictions that anybody has to follow when they put something out in the public domain.
Well, first of all, they are publishers.
That's what they.
All right, guys. If that wasn't enough, if that wasn't entertaining for you, then we'll work harder. We'll work harder in the future. But I just find that the language was all that, the little passion or whatever you want to call that, that they were showing there. It's a little bit interesting, but I think they were hitting so many points of, what we've been seeing for months. But what happens when you get a tongue lashing by talking heads on mainstream media? What does that mean? And what does it actually mean for, social media moguls? What does that mean? Why are they so unhappy over there? Why are they so unhappy? I don't know. You guys give it a shot. Your guess is as good as mine. I think there were some very significant points that they were bringing out, and just the language, some sort of insurrection, some sort of insurrection. Can you believe it? They're short on words. That's the best you could do. Some sort. That's a little weak, right? Even for a lashing, to get tongue lashed by the talking heads over there. But one of the most pivotal things that I think that was mentioned in that was, it said, not only have you destroyed the country, but you destroyed democracies all over the world. So I think that, there's a little bit of an admission over there to me that something on a much larger scale is going on. Much larger scale is going on, or there's a defeat that is an unspoken defeat somewhere. And I'm not here to warm up anybody's tin hat, or I'm not here to feed any specific theory or conspiracy. I'm not, but I do think that they are, for the lack of a better term, I think that their gig is almost up, or they're kind of, what did they used to say? You're kind of telling on yourself, right? Somebody in the group didn't quite hold the line, or, the show is over. The show's over, right? So I don't know. I'm not sure what exactly is going over on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I mean, I tried to be on Facebook, and my content was just not quite community standard. It didn't meet with their community standards. And I've been trying to recover over here for so long. I've been just trying to recover and be community standard worthy somewhere in these social media streets. There's a place for me. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And once again, hello to hi, JT Waterman. But I'll tell you, I'm going to be honest here. And what are we doing? I said we're going to do I'll give you the straight up this morning, not with the whipped cream. I'm not a barista, but I'm going to give you the straight up. I did submit a platform or content for Facebook, but they said, oh, this doesn't meet community standards. There was no appeal. There was no discourse. There was no back and forth. They basically said, hey, pick up your bags, clean out your locker. You won't work in this town. So no, I'm not on Facebook, but I guess enough things have gotten off over on Facebook that the MSMs of the world are not quite happy with that. So there you go. And the language, are you trying to suck up to the big guy? You did one thing, but you could have shut down a ton of Americans before now. And it's like, well, what country is this that that people are, you need to be shut down? And these people are getting paid millions of dollars to be live talking head technocrats and telling people they need to be shut down. Not only do they want to shut down Mr. T, the president, they're ready to shut down Facebook and shut down Zuckerberg. And I don't know. You might say, I don't know what the value of this whole thing is, but I do think that the biggest takeaway for me is that our Congress couldn't figure it out or officially deem things unlawful or unconstitutional, but the talking heads on MSNBC deems you as a publisher, not Supreme Court, not the 230 section. You got served, you got sliced, you got thrashed by the talking heads on MSNBC or MS, one of those M's. So I just thought that was it was more than interesting to see them kind of, it's the whole cannibal culture. They start eating themselves. Okay. Your favorite personalities and elite are, why are you guys not happy right now? You guys should already have the popcorn ready and all the celebratory things. But I don't see anyone, people don't look happy right now over there. I mean, what, am I missing something here? You guys are pretty astute and pretty, I'll take your guess. I'll take your guess on this. So I know it's probably a bit of a ramble there, but we've said for a while that that the social media platforms were playing by their own set of rules, but it's only acceptable. It's only acceptable, or it's only going to feel real if you get it from the mainstream media talking heads. So we'll see what happens with that. And I hope you guys are doing well. So I'm going to read a couple comments here. JT Waterman says, they are out to shut us all down so we can't talk. Yes, 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 yes. I thank you guys so much. And if you guys can help me talk a little bit more by hitting that like or the unlike button. And for those of you that are not sure whether or not you're coming in, I appreciate you for considering it. And yeah, thanks for considering. And Alien Believers here says, yes, here in Canada, it's got bad curfew after 8 p.m. and opened a holding building for people that don't. I assume you mean listen. I assume you mean listen. So if it's not, you can correct me at any time. But thank you for that. That's very interesting, Alien Believers. Thank you from all the way from Canada. Thank you so much. And JT Waterman says, I've been baking and made popcorn today. Yes, they are all out to try to save their own necks now. A little rage there. It's Rick Boats Rides. Thank you guys so much for coming in, and thank you guys for hitting the like button. I really appreciate it. All right, so I'm gonna get going here, and now we've been talking a little bit about culture, the word culture, values. We'll kind of pivot around that for just a little bit longer. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Thank you so much. So after we survived the meltdown from, and I keep calling this referring to them as MSM, but they're MSNBC. So yeah, if you guys are interested, I'll put that link in the stream for you. But we're going to just talk just a little bit. There is an article. There's an article out there. And this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to go into, it's going to be pertaining to the HBCU. And it's going to be pertaining to an elite joining an HBCU. And I'm going to get into that in just a second. But we do have other pieces. We have bigger pieces to fry around here, if I can say that, if that's not too down home or too old school for you. So, but hang on just a second, not to worry. So I'll tell you, our big liners we'll get into later will come from, we've got the citizens of Austria ready to move against the CV restrictions. They're not going to take it anymore. They're not having it. They're not having it. Okay. And the second one, we'll talk about the response or prep for the virtual inauguration. I mean, which one is it? I don't know. Maybe you guys can shed some light on that as well. Also, we'll talk about, looks like the Parler CEO and family have been in a bit of hiding after receiving some death threats. And yeah, so I think that's a little deep, but we'll try to keep it light as much as we can. But this next piece that I'm on about is going to be the part of the rant, is where the rant's going to come in. Anybody, most people that come to this channel, they're not, we do okay with discernment around here. And I think we have a pretty high level of respect for difference of opinions or different discernment, if you will, during these times. So I'm going to flash this. There's an article that I stumbled onto, and I typically don't do these types of presentations because there's plenty of people out there that do these types of presentations. But I do want to kind of link this to the culture and to what I consider, there being no real consistency right now. Even the law, it seems to serve those who break the rules, or they bend everything just enough before it breaks. And it's for their own agendas. It's not to protect the people. And so I'm saying all that to say that, this is very, very much, we've got some cultural dysfunction and unsustainability in this. So what I'm going to do is bring you to an article that I read, a piece that I read, and I'll show that to you right now. Hope you guys are doing well out there once again. And if you have not had an opportunity to hit that like button, I really appreciate it. So the rant starts now. It starts right now. So I'm going to share the screen with you, and it's involving the HBCU. Okay, so you got to have that elite muscle, right? You got to have that elite Marxism and muscle to get you through, right? You guys, not specifically, but I'm just saying, just generally. So I'm going to share this with you. So I'm going to give you the title of this piece, and then we'll keep going. Okay, so according to this, Deion Sanders calls out iniquity, lack of resources at the HBCUs. It's unacceptable. All right, so this is from Jay Connor. This is a couple of days old, but here it comes. All right, so what I'm on about here is we have a former NFL recipient, a Hall of Fame recipient that seems to be in a position to, I guess I would imagine, just, I guess bring excellence to the team. I don't mean to speak to be condescending when it comes to sports, but I do think that many values get lost in these situations. And I'm not a big sports person, but I just want to talk about this piece, and it's because it's kind of laced with a lot of propaganda, a lot of whining, a lot of typical things. And I just want to say it's laced with all these terms in which, dreams, and just really just patronizing people in the community, just really keeping an immature shellac on the brains of people, not a defibrillator, but they put a shellac on even the youngest adults that kind of keeps them in a frame of mind in which they can't even go forward. Because why? Because somebody owes them something. And I'm going to say this, that it's this kind of the value system that I think we're dealing with these days. It comes from, more of this conflict theory or these liberation theories versus some kind of functional society perspectives. I've talked to you guys on this channel before about how the Frankfurt schools basically shaped these sociology departments, Columbia, all the way from Columbia to USC or UCLA. And it seems that they have a total vice grip on the K through 12, the higher ed institutions, and they all defer to their own experts. So you can't really get away from that if all of this is generated by the creators. The people that are creating the problems are the ones who are solving the problems. And so how many grievances do you have? And if you don't, here's the solution to the millennials or to the kids growing up now. If you don't have a grievance, create one. I'm not completely naive. Everybody has some type of issue, or there's some type of disparity out there. We can find one. But, but I don't like the fraud in which people claim to, oh, I love myself. Oh, I love my skin color so much. But actually what you're demonstrating more hate towards other people. And it's like people can no longer discern. It's smaller. Their discernment is so small that they can be told. And I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to level with you right now. There's no government in the world that can change anybody's skin color, but you're proud of it. But all I hear is hateful things coming out about other people. I see the kind of spiritual shaming that I've seen online. I've seen other people do interviews, and they're dropping these names of all these historical people. Okay, yeah, we know we don't need a history lesson, but what are you doing? Are you trying to, to slap me around with other people's legacy? Or are you conjuring spirits? I don't know. I don't know that life, but I just want to know where does this come from all of a sudden? So you guys are wondering, okay, where am I going with this? Okay, so we have Deion Sanders, who has been granted this position at an HBCU. And I think his objective. I think I know what his objective is on a technocratic level. But when it comes to, if you're a coach at a university, I always have issues with universities that put entertainment and athletics above education. I always have an issue with that. It doesn't matter what type of university it is or college that it is. When you put entertainment and athletics above education, and it shows. It shows in your retention levels. It shows in the performance, and it also shows in the professionals that go out, or even what their appreciation is. Are they able to attain some type of employment, or after they've gone to these mills for 4, 5, 6 years, however long, and some of them that don't, they just end up dropping out because all they've done is dreamed or been fed dreams or been fed visions for their entire time. So I said all that to say that this thing is totally laced with victims, and somehow you can make a victim a victor. And the first person, it's this culture, and who can gain the most points on intersectionality. The conflict theory is used to fight everything. You're trying to use a theory to fight things that you cannot change, like your skin color. You cannot change that. And the other thing is, you can't make it's very immature to, I think, the perception that you can make people like you, so to speak. So hi everybody that's in the stream. So I mean, I don't mean to go off onto a rant, but here, let's just get into this just a little bit here. I'm just thinking, if you want to make a difference, why don't you help these kids invest in their interest, and not visions and not dreams? Because at some point you got to put your feet on the ground, right? You got to support yourself when you get done dreaming, or when that little college awning starts to retract and it's not there anymore. What are you going to do? So according to this, Deion Sanders is the new Jackson State head coach. He's on a mission, says Yahoo Life. Okay. So after securing the services of the Louisville wide receiver Corey Reed via the transfer portal, and plundering a treasure trove of other 3-star and 4-star talent from the SEC and the other Power 5 conferences, you would think he would be all smiles. After all, the Hall of Fame defensive back is clearly building something special at Jackson State. Okay, I apologize for the you got your yoga pose to go right in. Seems like my whole little okay. Maybe I should shrink it down a bit. A little technical difficulty there. I'll refresh it and let's see what happens here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to my rant. Okay, so it looks like I would imagine that they yanked it down, or maybe I'm even being censored because I'm saying I'm speaking out against I'm a POC speaking out against POC objectives. Okay, hang on a second. So it looks like we're still. All right. So and to be honest, there's not a whole lot here. But according to this, it says, but the 53-year-old is also keenly aware that in order to level the playing field, he's had to dip into his status as one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, and pull rabbit after rabbit out of a hat, a luxury that most HBCUs don't have. So, in speaking with reporters during SWAC media days, Sanders called out the iniquities that football programs at historically Black universities face. All right, for those of you that don't know, I'm not assuming, but that's historically Black colleges, universities is what the HBCU stands for. So, quote, the playing field is horrible, end quote, he said via the Mississippi Clarion Ledger. Quote, it's not a playing field. It's unacceptable. Thank God that God called me to change the game, to open their eyes, to open the door, not just for Jackson State, but for everybody. Okay, so here you have, I don't know if I'm going to play, I don't need to hear it from him. I'll drop the link for you guys. However, life outside of the Power Five is anything but glamorous. There aren't any billions pouring millions of dollars into your program or 100,000 seat stadiums to help HBCUs generate revenue. And according to Sanders, a lack of resources also includes flimsy training tables, outdated helmets, pads, practice equipment, and shoddy practice fields. Meanwhile, schools like Clemson are practicing in a $55 million sports complex. So taking these factors into account, it makes it a bit more difficult to adequately recruit or prepare student athletes for the rigors of the NFL. It's all about the NFL, right? You got to be prepared to keep that up. Quote, some of the things that I've seen thus far in my early tenure are truly unacceptable, end quote, Sanders said. It causes a kid not to dream. It causes a kid not to have the passion because he don't see no end results that's promising for him, end quote. To combat this, Sanders has used his connections to secure big money donations from the likes of golf legend Phil Mickelson and others. He's also facilitated an apparel deal for the school with Under Armour and has met with Golden Corral to help feed his players off campus. But again, how many other HBCUs are capable of doing the same things? Quote, I'm doing this for these babies, man, end quote, Sanders said. Quote, they deserve it. They look at the look in their eyes when they get a whole new sweatsuit just to wear back to the darn dorm, shoes and looking the same when they get the helmets and the uniforms and all that stuff plays a tremendous role, end quote. It does, but imagine the product we get on game day if the playing field was actually even. All right, guys, I thank you so much for tuning in. Look who's here. It's the Lockhart Perspective. Thank you guys so much. The Lockhart Perspective. How are you? I really appreciate it. The Lockhart Perspective. Hang on just 1 second. But yes, so I'm going to read some comments in just 1 second. But this is the thing. I have no issue with funding, but the problem with this is we have underfunded public schools in this country. We have underfunded institutions all over this country. We're talking about college. For many people had to work. The athletes are they're on a different, he talks about a level playing field. Well, they're in a different class by themselves. The athletes are an elite group of an elite group in a league of their own on campuses. They already receive from the visions of many people, not just myself. They already receive many accolades or many fringe benefits that the other students don't receive. They're receiving scholarships, gear, even stipends. And that happens at the HBCU. It does. I don't care what he's saying. They receive their own elite perks as it is. I don't know how he's going to remedy his problem. He almost makes it sound like it's laborious that he's had to use some of his influence. Okay, use your influence. If you're doing it, people always say, oh, I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart, the goodness out of your heart. Well, your heart has no attachments then, right? So use your influence. So if you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, if you just want to do it for these babies, why are you complaining about having to use your influence? And as educators, we have to use our influence too. Is there anybody in this world that ever reclaims every dime for every little extra thing they did to make a program or a classroom successful? When you run out of paper in a public school, in a Title I school, do you see people posting online? Oh, well, I had, teachers make sacrifices all the time. So I'm just thinking, sir, why are you in this? I would think that what did you go in this for? Are you in this to flex your technocrat muscles? Or what are you trying to get? What are you running for? Because it seems like you're doing something that's more political. You are actually using the plight, or maybe using some of the lack of resources of these kids or whatever at this school to advance another agenda. That's my issue with this. Of course, there are things that the HBCUs have that the Big Ten schools have. We already know that, sir. So if you're real genuine about what you're doing, why did it take you to 2020 to join and help these poor babies out? Why weren't you helping them a long time ago? I know somebody helped me out. I'm sure you know a teacher that's buying supplies, a sanitizer, paper towels, Kleenex for their students, or there's some students, they're doing it all of the time. And then, even in the classroom, somebody said this to me a while back, and I never looked at it this way, but there's forms of socialism that happen inside of our schools all the time. If we go to the public school, when they say, oh, well, the teacher sends out a letter every year. Oh, well, we need those paper supplies and soap and hand soap and sanitizer. And then you have some parents that don't contribute to that at all. Is that not a form of socialism? We got 30 kids but 10 parents donated to make sure so that the whole class would have enough sanitizer, enough paper towels, enough Kleenex to last the class all year long. Where have you heard of that? Because they say, oh, so-and-so's parent can't afford it, or 5 parents can't afford it, 20 parents can't afford it. So I said all that to say that why is it now that you have so many of these athletes and all these people coming forward to save, we got to save these little babies. We got to save these little people. I just think it's disingenuous for him to take that position, because I'm like, what are your motivations? Who are you in this for? You really can't be in it for the HBCU if you're going to complain about you've had to use your influence. And then I think, to the Lockhart's perspective, it seems like people are voting against their interest. Okay, according to many, President Trump donated. He established their financial footing, so that actually doesn't quite jive. If he upped their funding and made it permanent, gave them more of a permanent endowment where they're not coming back every year with their hat in hand. If he did that, then what are you talking about? What exactly are you talking about? I'm just asking. But the other problem I have is, like, what exactly are you in this for? What are you in it for? Because it seems like you're doing more of a complaint. But not only that, psychologically, these kids are being, you're talking down, that you're condescending to them when you refer to them as babies when they're actually young adults. So they don't need to hear a grown man referring to them as babies. Oh, I'm doing this for these little babies, and they need this, and they just need a new tracksuit. All will be right with the world if they just have a new tracksuit to go back to the dorm with. These are material things. And I just don't know, at what point are people going to stop dreaming and put these visions and this utopia away and start investing in long-term goals, or becoming problem solvers, learning how to deal with the hand that you are dealt. Can you teach them that? That would be more valuable, that your money and your influence would be would be better spent, Mr. Sanders, if you would teach these kids some more life skills and how to be problem solvers than you getting out here and teaching them how to be victims and cry and whine and kick and scream about what they don't have, or teaching them this Marxist culture. Well, the first person offended, oh, you're the winner. First person offended wins. Or teaching them how to rack up points on the intersectionality scale. I'm sick of this. I'm more than sick of it. As I've talked about this before, everybody has a unique status in this world, in this country, no matter what your background is. Some people eking out tuition, had to pay for their community college, their trade schools. They don't have any fringe benefits like athletic programs or stipends or athletic swag to get them through, to make them feel a little better. They don't have that. But then these athletes are already in an elite class where, many times they're really not even, they don't really live up to their own academic responsibilities. They're on a sliding scale all the time. And to me, you're making them look weaker, sir, is what you're doing. You're just creating this professional whiners and professional victocrats. So I think I've pretty much done my rant, for that. So I'm just saying, I'm just like, you're not helping anybody with all this Marxist crap. You're really not. It's really embarrassing. And I just want to say hello to everybody in the stream, because I told you I was trying to give it to you straight up today without the whipped cream. I'm not a barista, but I'm trying to be real. And let me say hi to everybody in this stream. And Lockhart Perspective, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And if you guys haven't had an opportunity to hit the like button, you will have an opportunity to do that at any time. You can hit the like, the unlike button. You can do any of that at any time, and it's all very helpful. I really appreciate it. And yes, I really appreciate it, because see, the other thing is, this is going back to more from the Black community perspective. We don't teach people that they can be something beyond that gridiron, that football field. We got to do this. You need you need an Under Armour track suit so you can be ready to go to the NFL. Did you hear it? Did you hear that? Did you hear did he hear himself? You need to be able to dream in that Under Armour tracksuit so you can be ready for the NFL. And this is the other thing about the HBCU. Did it ever occur to anybody that the thing about the HBCUs, those were some of the original teachers' colleges in this country. And to me, those people, those founders and presidents of those universities would be rolling over in their grave right now, the way that the narrative that's being spun out right now. And I'm going to say this is my assertion. How do they know that the original goal, the original objective was not education and not this emphasis on sports or keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with the Big Ten or keeping up with NFL standards? Should I be okay? So of course, somebody that sees this might say, "Oh, well, you don't think our dear brother, Mr. Sanders, is just looking out for his community and he's just trying to give back?" But I'm not. He should not be offended by somebody else's opinion or somebody else speaking some truth about the priorities. A tracksuit via Under Armour or swag should not be, you shouldn't be waving that around as a way, in order to get more money or to get, maybe you need more equipment. Yeah, maybe you do. But what have you done to get that equipment? I don't hear. If you're new to academia, then your response is immature because you haven't been there long enough to see how even the HBCUs are how they manage their finances. But you're on here, you're on Yahoo making these crazy statements. But see, here again, it's like you don't see these technocrats, you don't see these stars coming out trying to promote sustainable careers or things that go beyond the NFL. And that sickens me. It really does. It sickens me. You can do something else besides run a football or throw a football 50 yards or 40 yards. You're capable of more than that. You're more than that tracksuit, that Under Armour tracksuit. So what is he going to do? Is he going to quit on them if they don't get more endorsements? Or what's he going to do if they don't get the equipment? What's he going to do? And I'm drawing these parallels down to teaching because to me, you do have a level of responsibility that goes beyond that discipline, the arts or that sport. You need to keep it real with people. Some of those kids he might be the only father figure that they have. But is he teaching them? Is he leading by strength? I'm just saying, just saying, and I'm spending so much time on this, but I really appreciate you guys for entertaining me or humoring me with this whole, this is the clean rant on your Monday. So I appreciate it. And a Lockhart perspective, I keep saying it, and I'm gonna send something your way. John H. Roberts Jr. says, I'm grateful to have strong parents as examples. Well, it makes a difference, but see, the thing about it is I agree with you, but I'm going to tell you, when you don't have strong parents, sometimes that, there are people that come into your life either by faith or whatever you believe, or maybe the people God sent them or put them in the place for you. Sometimes you have people in place that were there for you at the right time, and they might serve in different capacities. They might serve you, or they might give you grace in things where you need it. But I certainly, you don't always have to be a biological parent to be a good role model or to be a parent to someone. No, you don't. But that's what we have. We have people that are more influencers than they are. They're not really doing this stuff for the right reasons. They're not. But you're also using these kids. You're using their disparities. You're using things that already existed. So I figure why didn't you start an endowment, sir, to help them get better equipment? Why didn't you raise some money? Or why isn't there a coalition? What are they expecting? The government to step in and make sure everybody has is Under Armour going to become, government subsidized now? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Why is it that it seems like most solutions from the elite, they go to the government for them? Debt is the solution for everything. That's the solution. We got to go to the government. And then I'm going to stop there because I have my own experience, and I have some very specific experiences in these settings. So, but I'm just saying, I just would prefer not to see those kinds of things coming out, because I think people are riding a wave, and then they're going to be poof, they're going to disappear when either they don't get what they were seeking, and then those kids will be back to where they were. So, all right. So I have believe it or not, I do have another direction that I want to go in. Let me read some comments here. Thank you so much, K Red Lotus, for coming in. And because I can get really stuck on this easily, very easily, and it's very tempting to do so. Touchdown Sean, hello, thank you so much for coming in. He says blah blah blah. Deion Sanders, here we go with the poor man HBCU party. Yeah, I'm I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I'm gonna let me put this out here. Let me put this down here as some of my friends, my older friends. Let me put this down here where the cows can get it. I'm not one of these people that speaks out about the HBCU without having any experience with the HBCU. So let's just put that out there just FYI. I'm not speaking about the HBCU from a non-alumni experience. No, I'm not. And I find that amongst the community, most people totally diss those institutions, and all of a sudden they've got the answers. It's a little bizarre, but it's real. All right, so the Lockhart perspective says both the president and the vice president Jackson State got arrested for corruption, cuffing all the money a year and a half ago. Mr. Saunders have several have several seats. Oh, that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. But and here's my last assertion. I'm going to keep reading comments, but I just want to add to what the Lockhart perspective was saying. I just want to say that the HBCUs, from what I've seen, many of them are run like liberal cities. And you could take that with a grain of salt, grill it up, whatever you need to do. If you're running an institution like a liberal city and you're surprised, just saying. Paralysis says sports can certainly grow the body and mind, but I am tired of how athletics leech all of the attention, funds, and talented students out of the other departments and then have the gall to complain. Touche. Thank you, Paralysis. And John H. Roberts says, I finally know the difference between conservatives and liberals. And Touchdown says Jackson State University was also busted a few years ago for running a prostitution sting on their campus. Did you know? Oh, yeah. It just keeps on getting better, right? And John H. Roberts Jr. says conservatives have developed abstract reasoning skills. And liberals only have concrete reasoning skills. Interesting. Thank you. That's very succinct there. And the Lockhart perspective says my husband played football at Jackson State. Wow. I didn't know that, Lockhart perspective. See there, you're holding out. Holding out. And this is, okay, I'm going to keep going here. And let me play this. Lockhart's perspective says the truth about Jackson State as a whole is the entire state literally is run on corruption. None of the money they get from the state to the university goes where it's supposed to go. Imagine that. Okay. And Paralysis, I feel for athletic students. The school drains them of their talent for free like slaves, teach them no useful skills, make them addicted to glory, and then throw them away after an injury. Wow, Paralysis. It's, thanks so much to Lockhart Perspective. Lockhart Perspective, if you're still around, if you can give me a 1, I really appreciate it. I thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to keep going here. The rappers here. It's been a lifetime, rapper. Rapper says CNN is censoring everybody who is not them. The PBA. Thanks so much, Kay Red Lotus. I really appreciate it. I'm going to keep going here. Hello, Old Head Deuce. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm going to keep going because I do have some other things to get to, believe it or not. It's just that okay. Lockhart perspective, if you will check something, if you will check your messages. Okay. So what I'm going to do, just FYI, just in case, All right. So I'm going to move on to the next. I'm sorry it took so long on that. But I want to go on to what's happening. And we have a liner, a bigger liner here that's going to come from our friends at the JBS, and that is the citizens move against the restrictions in Austria, Switzerland. And yes, and then we have a bit of a quote from FBI Director Wray on those, on the happenings from the 6th. And we'll have a look at what what's happening with the Parler CEO and family hiding out after receiving some threats. So we'll go with that. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to have word from our friends at the JBS. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll be right back. This segment of our show is brought to you by our good friends at the John Birch Society. Less government, more responsibility, and with God's help, a better world. The JBS is a constitutional and educational organization that's been around for over 60 years, dedicated to upholding and defending the Constitution and working to preserve our freedoms and liberties in this country. The JBS does not endorse any political party or candidates. Rather, it focuses on the education, training, and development of the American voters. All right, guys, thank you guys so much. So what we're going to do is we are going to have a look at our liner from our friends at the TNA, and I'm going to share that screen with you. I really appreciate you guys so much for being here. And I will tell you right away, we're dealing with a slight delay today, but who knows? Who knows? If you guys got your gourmet popcorn ready for the week, we're going to just call it popcorn week around here, even though it's tomorrow on the calendar, but all right. All right, so here we are. What you see before you comes from our friends at the TNA. And this is the citizens move against virus restrictions in Austria, Switzerland. This is by Dennis Barrett. All right, according to this, as world governments flail about attempting to appear to do something against the CV, generally choosing to institute damaging lockdowns, citizens are losing patience and demanding freedom. In Austria, protests gathered in Vienna to demand an end to the lockdown measures. Quote, thousands of people marched through Vienna on Saturday to protest against restrictions on public life designed to curb the CV pandemic. Just as Chancellor Sebastian Kurz's government held talks about extending the measures, in quote, Reuters reported. According to Reuters, Australia, with a population of 8.9 million, has had 7,000 deaths. For general comparison purposes, the population of New York City at 8.3 million is nearly the same as that of the entire nation of Austria. Compared to Austria, New York has had 25,970 deaths and 514,000 confirmed cases. Austria, meanwhile, has reported 390,000 CV cases. Da-da-da. Hello. How are you? It's the Lockhart Perspective, my regional panel.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for your support this past week. It has been a blessing. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you are so welcome, and I will always I'll try to be consistency is my consistency is always my banner, my cross to bear, if you will. So I will try to I'll try to keep up. Try to keep up is what I try to do. But I just wanted to, for one, I know I've kind of moved on to this other to this story about the people of Austria rising up and saying, "Hey, we're sick of this. We're not buying this." But I want to digress just a second. I will digress in just a second on what we were speaking about on when it comes to culture. I think sometimes I think it gets to be when people talk about culture, I'm like, okay, where does that culture come from? If it's coming from a nasty, wicked place, then is that really a plus for you? It looks more like a compromise than an advancement, right? It's not really, easy on the culture.
Yeah, let me pull my mic over because I had broke it all down last night. As it relates to especially the Black culture, the one thing I'm going to say that's a positive for people in the South, that once they do send their children to school, I have nieces that are like, 28, 29, and they've got their master's degrees. And so, there are a lot of positives when you consider some of the parents are very serious when they do send their children to school. So talking about Jackson, and I'm going to just jump around a little bit, but as it relates to Jackson State, I'm from Mississippi. My husband's from Mississippi. And when we consider how much corruption that state as a whole has seen, especially, the capital, Jackson, you all automatically have to, ask the questions with as much money that has been funneled into that area, especially Jackson State, where is the money going? And I think not that I'm defending Mr. Saunders, because like I said, he needs to have several seats for several reasons, but he is an entertainer, right? And so he does know how to articulate his statements to entreat his buddies to bring some money to the table, whether it be by donation or whatever, because it's apparent that the alumni there, whatever the monies that they've given to that, to the football, let's say just specifically football as an example, those monies are not being placed where they should have been placed. The second part is that I know for a fact, and most of you in the stream, as well as you Black Stream, may know that both the vice president and the president there at Jackson State, Mississippi, had been caught up in some big corruption, huge corruption, where they were blowing the money. And then I think it was somebody else's point in the stream mentioned the whole, I don't even, it's so hard now because we really don't know what we can and can't say, but there was, let's just say, some ladies of the evening who were being entreated to peddle their wares. You like that? Some ladies of the evening were being entreated to peddle their wares.
Okay.
And so they had gotten caught up in that as like a big giant sting operation, right? So there's a lot of corruption. And I think what he's just trying to do is throw some money at the problem, because the issue is so systemic that it's almost impossible for him to rectify that on his own. So if he's trying to, help the kids get some extra stuff so that they can, work well within the football structure or constructs or whatnot, I get that part. But as it relates to just us as a whole, I just think that for so long we have been taught, for the most part, some of us have been taught that, that those who have more should give. And that's not necessarily the truth. There are, and then again, there are those like yourself and myself who've been entrepreneurs and, who've built their businesses and, hey, we fail or we ride it out or we fail either way, but it's based on our merit. But that's just not the case for all people, whether they're Black or whether they're white. This particular generation that he happens to be cultivating right now, they're not made up like that. They're just not. They're, majority of these guys are, everybody got a trophy at the end of the season, whether they played well or not. Everybody got a trophy. Black Spring. And, you're sitting there like an auntie, like, wait a minute, but he didn't even play. So my nephew should not get a trophy. He didn't do anything, catastrophic. Why are you giving him a trophy? The whole entire team lost. So I just think that as a culture overall, the issues that used to be just specifically, Black folk, I think a lot of those issues are now sort of bleeding over into everybody. And that's the sad part. I mean, because even for us, right, when it first started let me just preface everything I said by saying this. We have not been the people who have always wanted handouts. That was created for us. And unfortunately, when the handful that did grabbed it and they saw that it was a good thing at that moment, they continued. And then you end up with, and I'm going into a different direction, so I'm sorry, but what you end up with then is just an entire generation of people who are, holding their hands out because for whatever reason, here's the part that a lot of folks don't know. For whatever reason, the person that's saying, okay, I need it now, let's throw out the people who we know are just using the system, right? I mean, they can be purple, green, yellow, or white. It don't matter. If a person is using the system, then that's just who they are. But I'm talking about the people who saw a need, took the money, and then learned to maneuver with the minimal money they had, and that kept them in a state of handout. You got to look at that. It kept them in that state. So I'm not sure if I'm veering very far off of what your question is to me, but I will just say that as a whole, if we would just wake up to the fact that it is about our own responsibility and that we need to, pull ourselves up and do the best that we can with what we've got, then that's one thing. But then there's another thing where you got to really look at it. A lot of stuff, and I think everybody can respect what I'm about to say, Autumn, because a lot of things have been created to where people now are seeing that the system has been tested and tried on the Black family, and now they're able to roll that which has worked for them out on everybody. Does that make sense? They're able to work out whatever it was that they worked out on everybody. So now everybody is looking for that $2,000 stimulus. Everybody is, wanting that extra money to get them over. And so now we're all in the state of being in a place of enslavement. And I hope that answers what you're asking me. I hope that does.
Well, it does. I'm saying, and I don't want to, I would never take a position in which that I have no idea that, I don't come at this, not to say that you're saying that or anybody else is suggesting this. I don't come at this from a silver spoon or with no experience, but I really like the way you really wrapped it up in a bow and say, hey, this is what has been tried and true on this group of people. And now it's trickling down to now they're trying to work it out on everybody. See how many will take the bait on it. But I'm saying, I don't like to see students exploited. I don't like to see any plight exploited for any agenda in which the kids will be left high and dry. Or as somebody said, was it paralysis, or the injury is going to leave them high and dry. We've seen that. We've seen the NFL. We've seen people, that their bodies are torn or mangled after doing that sport. And where does it leave them? I don't, should I go far and say leave them in the gutter broke and mangled? But I'm saying I don't like to see people coming out to advance an agenda. They want to put their brand. You put your brand on the front, but then you say you're doing it in the good, out of the goodness of your heart. But it almost seems like you're not. There's been many opportunities before 2021 or before 2020 to do something to help out the HBCU. And he's right. Every HBCU doesn't have a Hall of Famer coach. But is that going to change? Is his Hall of Famership going to change the culture of the HBCU?
I think that's what he's trying to do. But I mean, again, like I said in the chat earlier, and I just want to say this. a lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about President Trump, myself included, because of course, once you mess up big time, all the stuff you did good don't matter. But I'm going to say this one thing, because what he did do is that he gave $250 million per annum to HBCUs. That does not change. That does not go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. But now, if it is for, if it is specifically for the academia portion of it, just the academics, okay, I get it. But I would imagine that if he gave the monies to the universities, that would be for them to use at their discretion. And if they were fiscally responsible people that handled things there at each one of those universities, I'm sure that they would break off a piece of that money to the appropriate, athletic division. With that said, I feel that he, again, is just trying to cajole some of his colleagues to give money. That's really what I think it is, and by way of donations. Do you see what I mean? Because
I see what
he's
you're
the
saying.
entertainer.
I
He's
see
the
what you're
entertainer.
saying. And I know, but I also know that even like they every now and then they'll get, just on the college level, the athletics or football, they'll get somebody with a high, they'll get a high profile person in, and then they don't last very long. So I wish him the best with what he's doing, but I also hope that he's instilling some other values, that he's instilling some other values in those kids.
I'm sure he is. And now I'll say this because I've never been a Sanders fan. I've never been a Sanders fan. But that was because of how I felt like he was just a showboat guy with the big giant ties, even when he did commentary. And he was just one of those guys that I love to dislike strongly. So I'll just say that, yeah, I agree. I do believe that he does have his heart is in the right place. I mean, listen, he did not have to go there to be a coach. He's already Deion Sanders. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh yeah. I agree. I don't think, no. But I do think that a lot of people are kind of making my only issue is that you're Deion Sanders without a doubt. But then I've also seen other people, a lot of people are kind of, I don't want to say rising from the has-been or the ashes to kind of, they're going to get their name in the books for what they've done to push what I think is an NWO kind of agenda for too. Because, you're going to kill two birds with one stone is what I'm saying. But I don't want to see that other stone rise above what these kids probably would benefit from.
Hold on just a second. I just timed somebody out on the channel, and I know you guys already know that, Black Spring and I are sisters, but I will time you out on the channel, unfortunately, if it looks as if you are promoting your own channel while being here, sharing with both Black Spring and myself. And I don't mean to seem, curt or anything like that, but she takes a lot of time and does a great deal of research on a lot of the stuff that she brings here. And so when it looks as if the chat is totally not about what she's doing, all of her mods have been given autonomy to pretty much, sort of ask that you refrain from promoting your own channel, allow the host to do that. Let her be the one that, promotes your awesome channel, tells people about the great content that you have. And that's just a little bit of housekeeping from our network, because we are a very tight network. Those of us who work together. And so we just want to make sure that everybody that comes into her stream is really able to glean the awesome information that she has taken the time to put together. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. Again, it's nothing personal. It's just, there are just some protocols that we have listened and that we have all, sort of agreed to. So we don't mind you saying something once, but where it looks like it's continuous, then we understand totally, old head. We totally get it. But that's just one of the things that we ask. And so I appreciate everybody for being here, but it's no love loss. We love everybody. We just sort of want to make sure that the stream stays clear and clean. But no, to your point, Black Spring, I totally I totally feel like maybe he's just trying to bark up somebody's tree and maybe get some extra money for the entire group of folks. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. I think that he's just trying to get some extra money. You're still muted. You know, I think that's what he's doing, and I think that he is. We'll probably see in a minute where he's going to get a lot of money coming. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I would hope that, that is, I mean, you know, my I think I have a full circle experience when it comes to the HBCU, and we all and I think everybody wants to see them do well and be sustainable in whatever discipline it is in the university system. So I'm just, like I said, I'll continue to watch these things. I don't want to totally dismiss him. I don't want to prejudge him, but I'm just saying I'm going to be, for that reason, when I see these kinds of buzzwords, I'm going to keep an eye on the buzz there, just because, I mean, that's it. That's just the teacher, I think, in me. I'm never free of my nurture for
Never. No, you're
teaching
not.
or students or departments. I mean, I know what it's like to have a department in an education setting where it's underfunded. You don't have the support from the administration. You don't have it from the community. You don't seem to be getting it from the state. We don't, as an educator, you don't get to see what exactly you get from the state.
That's true.
You get to see what they tell you. This is what we have for you for this year. And when that runs out, I might have to go to the store and buy and spend some of my own money.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where, as a grandparent and as a parent, I, even now with my grandsons, I have to come out of pocket a lot of the way. And right now it's not really conducive for the out of pocket expenditure. I mean, I remember when my children were younger is when it really, really started for me. Seeing how we had to come out of pocket for pencils, we had to come out of pocket for the additional things. And then they got really egregious with it because the school systems were holding back so many of the funds that were allocated by the state to them, especially to educate children who were not, who did not have parents who were sewing into the community. And I'll just leave that there. It was Los Angeles Unified. I remember thinking, wow, this list is getting longer and longer every single year. And at first, my naivete was such that I honestly thought that all the extra stuff that I was given was going to a cubby specifically for my children, right? Because I can't write that off on taxes. I can't. That's something that we don't write that off unless our child is, I don't even know if you can do it for parochial schools. I'm sure you probably can, but having been a product of the public school system myself, as well as my children and grandchildren, I've not seen the availability to get any of that back. And with money being as tight as it is, it just I just felt like, wow, they're really taking they're taking advantage of the teachers, because the teachers know they've got to do their job. And then there are some families who cannot give. And so it just causes a really bad rift all the way around. It causes some resentment with the teachers, because we're asking them, talking about a whole entire football program. We're paying our teachers far less than we are the football players. I mean, you could take one football player's salary and divide that among 12 teachers, per annum, 12, 13 teachers per annum, pretty much, if not more than that. And so it just goes to where our loyalties as a country, lie. And it also speaks volumes for what we find valuable and important. I mean, as far as teachers are concerned, they do take a great deal of money out of their checks. They're not making much from the beginning. And then after that, when they see the need, because most teachers do care about their pupils. Most teachers really do want to teach. They went to school to teach, and it shows. And so you have to take that and then couple it with the fact that they're out of pocket. Now, who's going to replenish them? So it's like a thankless job almost. It's like a thankless job. We expect so much of the teacher. So much is put on the teacher, and very little is put in the area as far as finances are concerned, very little is put where it belongs. And that is, somebody needs to say, hey, if you're paying the teachers, the monies that are allocated, we need to see exactly where it is going. We need to understand how much you are giving to each class, and why are the parents and grandparents having to bring in Kleenex, and why are we, if you guys are so destitute, then we should be privatized, and that I should have the opportunity to take my grandchildren even to the best parochial school if I feel I'm going to have to pay. It's almost as if they want their cake and eat it too, and it's not the teachers by any stretch of the imagination. It is the school system, and it is the fact that they are not doing what they should be doing with those dollars. The majority of teachers spend their time prepping their pupils specifically for state tests from the first day of school all the way through, the fall break. They're just pumping and pumping and pumping. And a lot of the teachers keeping those jobs are based upon those scores. And that's the sad part. It takes the whole human piece out of teaching, I think.
Well, I can certainly attest to exactly what you're saying. I mean, I've been, I've seen other classrooms, and I had my own classroom, and I don't know where, I don't have the answers is what I want to make sure I put forward. I don't have the answers, but I just think there has to be a better way to allocate the funding. There's something terribly wrong, I think, with the way things are managed. I don't know. I don't know whether it's top heavy, or if the overhead, if most of those funds are going, to maintenance, or or employees. I've even seen that in some of the smaller, schools in which, they're here. And see, I'm about to go on to another tangent, but I will do this, and then I will move us back into the popcorn, National Popcorn Week. I've seen, like I said, I think that there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of mismanagement with the funds. And
I think you're right.
And I've also seen where in smaller schools, you'll have a full-fledged staff, or full-fledged, staffing of teachers teaching in public schools, but guess where their children are going?
Yeah, that's what
private
old head was just saying. Old head was saying that. So, I think what we all said the other day was that we were all going to just start calling stuff what it was. If the local government, the mayor's office and the governor's office, are any indication as to what's really going on in each one of the states, then I think it's fair for us to say that they're just pocketing the money. Somebody's getting it. It's not who we want to get it. It's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's what it is. Somebody is getting the money, and it's not going where it's supposed to go. And I think that's where, a lot of the parents who don't go to some of those meetings that they have, a lot of those parents have no clue what's going on with that money. A lot of them. And they don't know that, a lot of these things are, a lot of the monies. I remember when my kids were young, and I did sit on one of the boards that decided where the money was going to go and how it was going to be spent. And at one point, one of the educators that was not supposed to stand up and try to assist me in reading the document was like, okay, this just means this. And I said, ma'am, I don't need your help, but I appreciate the offer. And I literally sat there and I read it, and I literally set aside what I thought was accurate, and that what I was reading wasn't fair, because parents do have a lot more. They have a lot more worth in the fight than I think they do. You can definitely go to those meetings, and you can definitely say, no, I don't think so. That's not fair. And then again, you hit the nail on the proverbial head earlier when you made mention of the socialism inside of the whole entire school piece. It's totally that way. I mean, it's totally the way you said it is. And I know, and I know paralysis by analysis knows, because again, both of you are educators and have seen it. Now, as it relates to Mr. Mann, the entertainer, you know, I want to see what he can glean for the school. I really do, because I know that the school has gone through a lot of stuff. You know, my husband was even talking about the fact that the field doesn't even look like it used to look, you know, and then all around Jackson State, to get back to where we were, all around Jackson State, the campus is heinous. The grounds around it is absolutely unbelievable. If you have a new car, you better not drive it around Jackson State, because if you do, your rack and pinion's going to be jacked. I mean, the roads literally are crumbling under your wheels. It's that bad. So that means there's a lot of money coming in there, but they are not they're not doing what they need to do. And that's what I say, shame on the Black community, because for that I do see a lot of history there, where we get the monies that come in, and for whatever reason, greed sets in, and a lot of those funds are misappropriated. However, I have to say that, yeah, look at the governors, look at the, you know, look at the mayors, you know, look at it's just a trickle down. If you want to talk about trickle down, that's the trickle down. Everybody got their hands in their pocket with the state's money.
You're right. You're right. And, you know, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate you for chiming in on that, because, you know, we want students to have good experiences, and we want them to, I find it harmful psychologically if we want to go on a sociological perspectives, and these babies, and it kills the kids' dream, that when there's a revolving door in these universities, or when they get somebody that purports that that says that they care about them, and they're just trying to do this, and I'm just trying to help you, and then they stay maybe a year or 2 years, and then the kids are actually, you still have kids out there that actually want to please their instructors, and they want to please their directors, and then eventually they just walk away, and then that pushes the morale back down, and guess who has to build those kids back up to keep going? The next coach, the next band director, the next, you know what I mean? I mean, are you kind of picking up what I'm putting down? Because that's a situation I had like that, you know, and the kids were almost neurotic. Oh, are you going to stay next year? Are you leaving? Are you going to stay?
Because they finally saw some hope.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what I don't. That's why I'm hoping that he's genuine with what he's doing, and that he can bring. And even you have to go where life takes you. If he has to leave, then you have to go. But I just hope that he can help them. You know, help them keep going. He can inspire them beyond, you know, some of the material stuff. And hopefully that school will do better. I didn't realize, you know, the situation they were in, because I'm kind of removed from the HBCU right now. I mean, I'm not.
Trust and believe, I am not. I'm telling you right now. Let me tell you something that you didn't know. I know you didn't know this. Did you know that in Alabama, for example, the HBCUs there have been practicing a very great sense of prejudice? I don't know whether you know that, but they have spent a lot of money cajoling individuals from other communities to come in to the Black schools. And what they have done, and I have seen this firsthand, I have firsthand knowledge and recollection of this. They are, for example, the girls' volleyball team, or the girls' basketball team, which most of those girls play interchangeably. I know my sister played interchangeably when she was on the college level. She played both volleyball as well as basketball. So anyway, they'll cajole these girls to come to the school. So they'll go out and they'll bring in other people, and they will give them more than they give the folks who are going to the HBCU, because they are historically Black college and universities, right? But they will cajole these other individuals to come into the school. They will give them stipends and things that they do not give the other girls who are as well on a scholarship, right? For example, in Alabama at a specific time, I remember back in the day, I don't know, you know, why it's this way, why it's different, but back in the day, if there was a fall break, you would just keep your dorm. You know what I mean? You just be on fall break. Now they make the girls here in Alabama pull out for the fall or for the winter break, and then they're just stuck. So if they've got a part-time job, learning how to stand on their own, or a full-time job, they got to let the job go because, well, mom and dad's not going to have you just living out there in a different part of Alabama with no place to sleep. But the other girls that they brought in from, say, Massachusetts and other areas that play ball really well, they got to stay. But what's the difference? If the children are, 50 miles or more away from the campus, then that's 50 miles your baby gonna be away from you, whether it's 100, 200, 300 miles. In other words, they are not fair across the board, and they are the worst when it comes to management in the office. I've never seen it take so long for pupils to get their schedules. Schedules are something that it was very easy to do. You choose what you want, and then all of a sudden you pick up everything, and then you start. No, these kids are going through 2 weeks almost in tears. I have dealt with women, young girls, who are in tears because they can't get their schedule, because they can't come to work on time, because they can't get their schedule. So there are a lot of inequities that go on within the Black community against one another. And that's one of them. That's one of them. It's like bad customer service, ad infinitum.
Well, and I absolutely, and see, that's the thing. And that's why, and I'm going to, this is, see, to me, the HBCU, that's a channel in itself. That the culture of the HBCU is a challenge, is a channel in itself. But I will gently walk us away from this because I don't want to become too impassioned over it or take too much time. But I appreciate you for chiming in on it, and thanks so much, everybody in the stream. And Lockhart, I really appreciate you for chiming in and sharing your own personal connections to that particular HBCU.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't know he played ball, but he was bad. I'll just say it that way.
Okay.
And I don't mean bad meaning bad. I mean bad meaning good.
Nice. So that sounds like a conversation that we should have a conversation. A conversation about athletics and just the community. I'm saying, I guess my final word is that we have to demand more, I think, from within. Reaching outside, looking within is what we don't do enough of. And and reaching out to Big Daddy government for the solutions, for the answers to make the impossible possible. I'm sick of that. I think that the objective is wrong, and I think it's misguided, and I don't want to see that. Culture needs to change, but it has to start with us, and is what I'm trying to convey there. But so what I want to do is I kind of want to go back to that other story. I'll just give a summation on that. So Lockhart, of course, you can chime in at any time. So what I'm saying is we were looking at a particular story in which the people of Austria, Switzerland are fighting back. They're fighting back in their country in terms of the lockdowns. They're not accepting what they're being told. But can you shed some light on, do you think that, do you see something that maybe I'm missing here? Why does it seem like America overall has, and I'm not saying everyone, but I will say a great percentage of our population, they're just not, it's almost like we're under a spell. And can you shed some light on that? And then I will round out this particular one, because this is nothing new under the sun. It's just that other people are, they're sick of the extension of the lockdowns, apparently. And, with what's going on here, it looks like we could be dealing with an extension of a lockdown. Do you want to shed on any light on that before I'm going to round that one out and move us on?
I hear you. And to coin your phrase, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Ronnie and I were playing with that phrase all weekend.
You guys were playing with quite a few phrases
that you got me.
but the one that you guys haven't played is,
me put this down here where the cows can get it.
That's one of your daddy's phrases. That's one of the things your daddy said. What I would have to say is I don't believe everything that we see in other countries when it comes to media. I'm just going to put that down where the cows can see it. I don't, because I feel like they allow us to see these orchestrated stories, and then they can just send us the narrative and we follow it. Case in point, in the very beginning last year, when we looked at everything that was going on over there in that other part of the world, we were getting a boatload of propaganda. And now we see, if we juxtapose the propaganda that's coming from over there right now, it's totally opposite. Just 1 year ago, they were people begging to get out of buildings. They were boarding things up. They were having people who are normally not able to even get out of their iron curtain of internet. Okay. They were able to stay on streams for about 38 minutes to 40 minutes, sometimes an hour, and beg and cry and tell how awful the scenario and the situation was and all the stuff was going on. And then all of a sudden, after, it allegedly, and I'm not saying that it didn't, I'm just saying when it, after it just mushroomed into everybody else's back door, you didn't hear that much from them. They sort of calmed down. Things sort of went back to normal, right? And then when it went back to normal, they went on to another tangent that was then propagated throughout the rest of the world. And let me tell you what that was. And I'm getting to your point as it relates to these other places and then how we are reacting. What ended up happening was immediately after they cut off their lockdown, they then began to kick out all of the people from Nigeria and other parts of Africa. They began to simultaneously tell all of the landlords, kick them out. And from one day to the next, people who had places to live from Africa or whatnot, different countries in Africa, they were now homeless. They had nowhere to go. They had retained their passports. They kept a hold of them, and these folks had nowhere to go. Right. So then you began to see that even the people who were at the universities there in China, you saw different chats and stuff like that, where they were saying, hey, wait a minute, do you mean this new letter that you sent out to all the students? Is that for all the students or just for, and they quoted Black students? And so I saw one correspondence between an educator or the dean or something, the dean's office of one university, tell the person, no, it's just for you guys. And so what they ended up doing was then trying to figure out why none of them got it and how come all of them were okay inside of their houses boarded up for X amount of time. Then after that, what did you see? I called it. What you saw after that was them saying, oh my goodness, there is a deeper strain of this. But look at where it started, this deeper strain. And that was immediately after they started doing all of that testing on all of the Black folk that were in China. Now, let's fast forward it to this new breed of propaganda that we're getting coming from this other area. Here's another area where they have major control of their people, and their people are out of control. Really? I don't think so. So let's juxtapose that to the United States. Other than the fluoride that we have in everything, from our bathing water, if we don't have a filter, to our, to our toothpaste, to everything that keeps us more anesthetized than other cultures and other places. The only thing that I can think of is that a lot of us are just sitting back saying, I'm not going to get involved with that. And don't forget one most important thing. A lot of the protesters that we are able to see, they have their pockets lined. And this particular breed of pocket lining started overseas. The particular group of individuals that we see here that are even doing the quote unquote rioting, that began in a totally different country, in a totally different place. And so what's going on here is the real people like you and me, we ain't getting involved in that. Ain't none of us getting involved in that. We gonna sit back here, and if y'all want to go out there and cut up, go ahead on and cut up. But we're not getting involved in any of that. And I think that overall, yeah, we can make our statements, but we also know that even including what we're doing right now, they are caching it, CACHE. They are making sure that they put it all together, and they are looking and they are marking, because if you remember what happened I think it was the Bolshevist revolution. They began to take everybody who was complaining. They had built up a nice little dossier on those individuals, and then at the end, it was like, okay, off with their heads. And I'm using that as a very loose term, but there is a purpose and there is a reason for us seeing what we see. I recommend that nobody and their mama go to anywhere near DC next week. Nobody. At the end of this week, you better sit your rump at the house, because all of these things are created to get us in that mode of, why aren't they responding now? If you took out all of their planned rioters, there would be no riots, because regular folks aren't getting involved in that. Now, they may stand up and hold a couple of flags and may say, hey, you know what? We want to go back to our way, but they're not going to be anything like what we're seeing. And I'm so glad that we prayed about Revelation being revealed and all the fake stuff at the top. Well, I think it was at the mid to end of last year. You and I were just praying, pretty much hoping that, all the stuff would just be revealed for being what it is. And that's why everybody was able to say, hey, wait a minute. How did you get a camera crew up at the Capitol? You can't even step on the front steps without 5-0 getting you. How can you get that close? Hey, wait a minute. How did you have all these people in there? Hey, wait a minute. How did the popos know you was going to be there? So there's a lot of stuff that's, I believe, propagandized. And that's part of the reason why we are not jumping. But they're still going to create their own crap, even if we are involved or not, because it's what they do. And I'm going to end that there.
Yes. And I thank you for sharing that perspective. And I want to echo what you were saying, or just kind of piggyback. I agree with you. I would not, I wouldn't assemble any form of civic disobedience in those areas. I wouldn't be demonstrating. I wouldn't be taking part in that. And I wouldn't recommend that for anybody.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
On this,
on
this, just saying, you guys are of free will. You do what you want, of course. But yes, I agree with the Lockhart perspective. Or can I glean something from paralysis? Thanks, Mom. I hear you, Mom.
What did he say last week? Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome, paralysis by analysis. Thanks, Mom. That was funny. He was like, thanks, Mom. I didn't even know. I was like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Your wrench is not gone. Well, see, I wasn't looking because I was talking, and then I saw his face there on the screen. So I just punched it. And then I hit the thing where I thought it said add moderator, and it didn't. It actually took his moderation away from his modifications. His modifications of the moderations had been modified. That's me and Ronnie. We've been making up all kinds of stuff. His modifications of the moderations had been modified.
There you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to round out just the final piece of this, and when I say that, let me try to give you my visual. So the visual, I'm going to round out this piece, and with that, it'll just be a little bit, including the bun and the lettuce.
There's something else that we can swipe. Hey, Ronnie, write that down. It's the bun and
it's just the bun and the lettuce left. Just a little bit of protein, but
there ain't no keto. Ain't no keto. It's not gonna just be the meat and the lettuce. It's the bun and the lettuce, baby.
So here we go. Okay, according to this is the rest of the meat here, and then bun lettuce is coming. So very quickly here. So according to this, after they talk about they give you a perspective on the population there in comparison to New York. According to this, Agence France-Presse reported that at least one protester did not believe the official statistics. Quote, the numbers of deaths were being given. That's rubbish. I don't want to end up like China, where you don't have any right to do anything, end quote. A female protester, only identified as, quote, Gabi, end quote, told AFP. A left-wing counter-protest failed to muster much support. Quote, a counter-demonstration organized by the far left, comprising a crowd around 500, according to the police estimates, also took place, denouncing anti-mask lunacy, end quote, the AFP reported. Now, despite the protests, the government of Sebastian Kurz announced that it would extend the country's lockdown until February 7th.
Under the extended lockdown, the quote goal is to let shops, museums, and personal services like hairdressers reopen from February 8th, while catering and tourism sectors will stay shuttered until at least March, end quote. Now that's according to Reuters reported. Quote, we have 2 to 3 hard months ahead of us, Chancellor Kurtz warned, suggesting that the lockdown might be extended further. Quote, at a time of a pandemic, there are no guarantees, end quote, Kurtz said, according to Reuters. In Switzerland, meanwhile, according to the English language news source, the local citizens have collected enough signatures to force a referendum on ending the nation's lockdowns. Quote, the association Friends of the Constitution filed a referendum against Switzerland's CV-19 legislation at the federal chancellery in Bern on Tuesday, end quote, the local reported on Friday, January 15th. Now, to launch the referendum, the group collected almost 90,000 signatures, a figure that was 40,000 signatures more than required. Now, according to the local, the Friends of the Constitution organization, quote, believes that the CV-19 law passed by the parliament in September of 2020 is unnecessary because it mainly deals with financial services that the government can regulate by federal decrees, even without emergency powers, end quote. Significantly, the referendum has repercussions for the Swiss mocktail program. Quote, the success of the referendum would be a call on the authorities to exercise the utmost caution in the mocktail campaign and even impose a moratorium on it, end quote, group spokesman Christopher Flugger said, according to the local. Just don't expect a quick vote. Quote, the vote on the CV-19 Act will take place in June 2021. That's the earliest, when the law will already be in force for 9 months, end quote, the local reported. How's that killing you?
Not at all. I ain't dying for none of this. You know, it's this stuff is so contrived because if you look at it, they really are attacking a lot of the businesses that are entrepreneurial in nature. They just mentioned the hairdressers. The part you just read, they mentioned hairdressers, right? So they're going to let them go, then they're going to take them back. It's the same thing they did in California. And let me tell you why, because our business is pretty much, and by our, I'm a master cosmetologist, so on the side of everything else, having all kinds of hats. Anyway, and Ronnie just did something with the hat. So we're going to talk about hats next on the show.
Please, please.
But so I think that they are really attacking people who have the ability to do business by cash because their goal is to, get rid of it, which they're headed towards. And so if you look at it, a lot of smaller businesses may not be even set up on a lot of, high tech card readers. Some of them are using, their Square. Some small businesses have a database that deals with internet to take their funds. Some of these, they found some really good ways to take their money. So the problem is not so much that they are trying to, ban all businesses, but it is the person who has the ability to make their own money with their own hands. And that's why I'm just picking on this little piece. That's why they're really looking at, entrepreneurs, the middle class. They keep pounding them and pounding them and pounding them. But see, the one thing they do not understand is that any entrepreneur or middle class person worth their salt, they're going to already know how to reinvent themselves to go with the flow. Now, a lot of them aren't, but there's a lot of them that are. And so I just think they're going to have a hard time doing a lot of the stuff that they want to do. I think a lot of it is going to happen, but I think they're going to have a real big struggle with it in behind the scenes. So not the scenes where you see those handful of people getting out there doing stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Picking it up. I'm scooping it up.
Okay. So that means I'm putting out bull feces. You gotta scoop it.
No, I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. I want to get it all.
Okay. You got the scooper. The scoops. Wait a minute. Remember that movie? I'm not sure. Were we watching that movie together? We haven't watched it yet. And we still got to do the movie night too. I've got a lot of people that said they want to do it. So we got to put the movie night together to at least happen at the top of February so that everybody wants to go to movies can do that.
We'll have to put our heads together and dates
What movie
together.
was it? What movie was it where they had this Soylent Green? And we really need to do that one
Oh my
now.
gosh.
Soylent Green is for people. Charlton Heston.
Well, let me do this, and if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not misquoting, you can always clean me right up. But
And you can do me too.
did you say I have never seen The Hunger Games?
No, I didn't see it, but we probably do need to see it in close session. We can't do it no more like we do. But I think Ronnie gave the synopsis last night when he was talking about it. Yeah, They Live is a good one too, Old Head Deuce. And the scoops was from Soylent Green. They were scooping up all the people that were not compliant. And so what would happen is if things didn't go their way, just imagine everybody was getting like this little cake or this little small bar of something, and it was this food. Well, it was actually Soylent Green, Soylent, this color, that color, all these other different colors. And so what ended up happening was whenever they were having some type of insurrection in the city, they would send these big scoops or the big dump trucks with the scoops, and they would all shout, the scoops, so that everybody was jumping up, getting up on top of high things that the scoop couldn't pick them up. And they would scoop up all the people, and then they would literally turn them into, well, you have to see the movie. But so that's why I said the scoops. Definition of Anarchy: buy land and start farming. You can't. Did you not watch us this past weekend? Me and Ronnie already covered that. 242,000 acres of land has now been absconded. He purchased it, but the two, and this is directed directly to Anarchy. I think that's who just mentioned that. Definition of Anarchy. I don't know whether you know it or not, but Bill Gates and his handsome wife, has purchased 242,000 acres of farmland in the United States, and 69,000 acres of that land specifically is in Louisiana. There's another, they broke it down into some really unique pieces, but there is none of that because it's not just him. It's also other very rich and wealthy moguls that have also purchased large swaths of land throughout the United States. Ronnie made a good point last night when he referenced how they plant, the whole 11 region thing. So who owns the land here? Who owns the land there? And you and I, Black Spring, see, we're tying all this stuff together as we all talk.
Yes.
In that movie that we saw, remember they had different quadrants and areas, and the girl was they were like, okay, well, in this area things are okay, and over there in that area, which is where she got the sugar, and he was like, oh my God, sugar and chocolate, where'd you get the chocolate?
Yes.
They were talking about regions. Okay, so that is why you're not going to be able to go out and get that big chunk of land, because even if you do, to our point last night, they're all they're going to do is buy all the land around you and then suffocate you and take you out as well, because that's a lot of farmland. 242,000 acres of farmland owned by one man who is a technocrat.
Yes.
Technocracy, because as we've said here, you're aware of that. Yeah. So how much land do you think you can get? Definition of Anarchy. How much land do you think that you could get? Could you get like enough for all of us to like come and hang out? We can build like a compound. We're not talking David Koresh style, but can we come hang out? And I can grow my beets and my collard greens. That's what I would love to do. My beets and my collard greens. Wherever it is, those are the two things I need. Definition of Anarchy. Hey, Angela Reed.
You need those. Hello. Yes. And see, that's the thing. It's, and see, she says you'll own nothing, you'll be happy. And that's coming straight out of the we forum from the party of Davos. Yes,
it is.
I mean, everything, if any of this stuff, it's the blueprint is there, I honestly, but look at this guy. For what, 3 weeks ago, he's funding a project to block the sun out of one of the Harvard elites. There's a project where that's concerned.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost like an attack. It's almost like it's almost like we are dealing with and they might not like me for this, but we're dealing with people terrorizing or attacking. You attack people's food supply with these measures.
I don't even drink Kool-Aid now, paralysis by analysis. So that wouldn't happen. Um, yeah, to your point about the sun. Now, here's the thing. There is a scripture that talks about how, the sun is going to be blotted out and all that stuff. It is what he's talking about, pretty much what he's trying to do. Now, do you remember that there was a patent on a sun, quote unquote, sun machine? It was like a simulator for the sun. And a few years ago, there's a simulator for the sun. And several years ago, maybe up to 5 years ago, could have even been more, but I know for a fact that it was as early as 5 years ago. And what they ended up doing with this is you would hear people say, hey, look, there's like grids on the sun, because it was failing. Started out in the UK. It actually started in Germany, where you would see it every now and then they started it here. So for several years ago, you would have this hot feeling of the sun on your skin while you were driving in the car. It was like amplified. I'm not sure if anybody remembers that. And if you do, or if you experienced it, please let me know. Let us know in the chat. And we do too. It's like we want you guys to join in to let us know if you remember it, because it goes to the point of where Black Spring is now, dealing with them blotting it out. So in other words, they created the sun simulator. They had a patent on it. And now what he is doing is trying to pretend as if they have not already been doing that. They've already been putting things up in the sky to, close down the sun and all that stuff. So they've already been doing it. I guess what he's probably really trying to get us ready for is the fact that, it's already been done, and they're just probably going to go full-fledged. There's another movie that we got to talk about, because they blocked out the sun and then something catastrophic happened. And then they, no, and you shouldn't. No, you're right. The definition of anarchy hit the nail on the head. He said, I ain't going to let these oligarchs stop me from buying land. That's right. Buy it. And you should. We own plenty. And we agree, we agree. And that's the way that it's supposed to be. So no, sir, you are to occupy. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right, King. You are right. Mr. Warrior, do your thing. That's what you're supposed to do. But yeah, so they were blocking out the sun already. And now he's talking about making it dark, making it real dark with his demonic little demented self. Ooh, Mr. Burns. They're pinky in the brain and everything.
Well, and this is another thing I wanted to say. And see, this is not, here again, I'm not trying to alienate anyone, but are there not certain demographics of people that actually have a little bit of a natural deficiency for vitamin D?
I would imagine so. Yes. Yes. And I mean, and again, all of these things are based upon the region in which the individual was created to thrive in. So I hope that answers the question. Yes, there are people who are deficient in vitamin D. Yes, there are people who, require more than others. But I think that the deal is that in tandem with them already tampering with our environment, in tandem with them, tampering with the food, tampering with the water, now you add this to that, and you've got a really good inner workings for a fearful, depressed, iron and, vitamin D deficient piece of chattel. They want the chattel. They want the cattle as scared and as deficient as they can, so that they can just keep doing what they're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, I'm just, you're right. I think people are sick of the oligarchs and them just putting their hands into everything with their master of the universe, complexes. He's an enthusiast on mocktails. Everything most of the threats that we face, this guy seems to have a hand in that. Is that not alarming? Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I need to have a moment.
No, I don't think you're overreacting. I think it's his plan. And I think, excuse me, I think that's exactly what he's been made to do. He has been made to do exactly what he's doing. If you remember, a lot of these folks don't look like they used to. I don't even think that we're dealing with the same people who used to be in those earth suits, to be quite candid with you. If you look at the owner of Facebook, his face looks like Mr. Ed now. He didn't have that big old gigantic cranium. He's got this big, gigantic alien-sized head now. Juxtapose some of his older pictures to now. I'm very bold to say it because I know what I see. He doesn't even look the same, the cat we're talking about now. He was this timid little, blinker, constant blinking, constant, just very timid, very shy. And they did say that one of the characteristics for these people who try to take over everything is that they cannot hang if they are, if they're confronted. And that is those types of characters, very coy when you confront them. You got billions of dollars, homeboy, and you are coy and shy. You evil, evil little person who used to get picked on in the playground or picked on in their home playground. Because I don't even think they even had places to go play. I think they just had to play with themselves or a pet that they had in a corner, and they made the pet up. But these cats can't hang. You let Definition of Anarchy run up on them and just say, "Oh, hey man, how's it going?" You let Ronnie Man just run up on one and, "Oh no, don't hit me." And they be like, "Man, all I wanted to do was say, yeah, hi. You better calm down. But that's them. Yeah, that's them. That's them. That's who they are. Yeah. So I don't know. He's got a lot of stuff that I don't like about him, especially that wife that he married. They just look so opposite. They just I'm done.
Well, I really appreciate it. And I have like 1.5 other lines here today. And it's pretty much just going to be, if you guys, I just want to take you down memory lane just a little bit. And this is more, I talked about it being the Capitol's response or the prep for the virtual inauguration, But I want to say this, and this is what I have extracted from this article. And it's from the FBI director, Christopher Wray.
I'm going to get coffee. I'll be right back.
Okay. And so basically, of course, I've extracted this point that, he said, from Jan 6th alone, that we've already identified over 200 suspects from the I'm going to call it the incident at the Capitol. And he has said, quote, "We know who you are and the FBI agents are coming to find you," end quote. So, but I'm just wondering what inspires the director. He seems to pick and choose what he wants to investigate. Does anybody remember what happened during the Summer of Love and in Portland? Was it Wheeler and Seattle's mayor Durkin? I mean, we witnessed nobody. It just seems like everybody resigned from their positions of leadership or governance, and they just took an absolute passive position. And there were very little calls, or, in fact, I don't know. I'm not sure what the chain of command is, but I know they declined federal intervention or federal help from the Trump administration. But it seems like the response to this should have been, why can't it be equal when it comes to investigating people that are either terrorizing or infringing upon the rights of others? I'm just wondering, am I missing something here?
No.
I'm just saying, people lost their lives in those incidents. There was a black guy, because what was it, the chief of police, Carmen Best. She maintained, but black people are dying. She wanted to let remind you that black people are dying. So
that just makes me so upset. Like, we're such superhuman that we don't die. What about the scores of white folks that have died? That type of stuff brings. I don't know. I just don't like that mindset when it's always focused on us. What do you think that is, Black Spring?
I think it's a part of their agenda to use the plight of the minority to say it's legitimate what they're doing here. Their Summer of Love and Mr. Lawrence, the black guy whose kid who got murdered, and the other people that were shot or murdered or injured, it's fine. It's valid because this Black person was a victim, and it should continue. They should continue to wreak havoc on the businesses or alienate people, or people can't even come down here. We can continue to create these little zones. They should be allowed to do that because Black people are present.
Wow.
And they just keep changing the rules, and it's almost like they want to figure out how civil rights can be applied so you can't touch them, so they can just keep doing what they want to do. And let there be a Black person there. And then that's just exactly why you have to let us, because you're infringing upon this person's civil rights. And the Black person here was on the foundations of civil rights. So we have to be allowed to have our summer of love and
the summer of love. And the summer of love, is that the summer of burning everything down, burning the whole entire town down in an effigy, just destroy. That's the summer of love. And you know what? There's not enough of us who really stand up and say, I'm sorry, but that's not going to roll no more. Stop it. Remember the Black guy that just got arrested, the BLMer who got arrested for the whole Capitol thing? Yeah. How many people, other than those of us who were in this particular type of deal, how many people really know that even happened, that he was even arrested? How many really know? I don't think it was publicized, was it?
I don't think, I think, I'm going to be honest. I think that I saw a clip of him. He was the victim now. He's the victim. I think he was on CNN. Now, you guys fact check me all you want, but I do believe I saw him on an interview on CNN, professing appealing his innocence, that he was. But then what I did see surface on social media and alternative news sources, there's footage of him all over the place. Him and his own words, him and his own destruction of property, the glass that if you saw any of that with the late Miss Babbitt, that glass. Yes. See, I'm beginning to wonder if, I think he was present during that. Well, I mean, there was a lot of footage, him and his compatriots or compadres.
I've got it right here. I'll read it. It says an anti-Trump activist who once said he wanted to rip the president out of the office entered the Capitol building on Wednesday alongside a mob of pro-Trump protesters. Wow. No, he was not alongside of pro-Trump protesters. He, again, was alongside his compadres, but we'll go ahead and digress. But he said that he was just there to document it. Right. How did you get in there? Okay. I'm going to be like Nancy Morgan Hart for a second here. Narrator's note. How did you get in there to do that? Who allowed you in there? And how did you know that it was going to happen, that you would be there to document it? Okay. Saying, quote, there's this narrative going around right now that Antifa was the people there causing the riots, causing the tension. They were the only people breaking into the Capitol. And I wanted to be able to tell a part of history and show that that was anything but the case. John Sullivan, the founder of the Utah-based Insurgents USA, told Fox News on that past Thursday. Insurgents USA, describes itself as the, quote, revolution. It began protesting racial injustices in policing last year following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis police custody. Now, in August of 2020, remarks to a small crowd at a Washington, D.C. intersection, Sullivan pointed to the nearby White House and unleashed a torrent of violent rhetoric saying, quote, we about to burn this ish down, he said. He continues, we got to rip Trump. We got to rip blank Trump right out of that office right there. He continued, adding, we ain't stopping. We ain't about waiting until next election, he said, as he led the crowd in a chant of it's revolution time. Video of his remarks, which include graphic language, can be found on their website. You can go to Fox News for that. But Sullivan told Fox News that he didn't notice other activists inside the building, but he added that he couldn't know for sure without speaking to everyone individually. Quote, as far as being able to understand who was in the crowd based on being around protests a lot, I didn't see any people who were originally at the BLM protests, he says. Sullivan says that he was standing near the Air Force veteran Ashley Babbitt, when she was shot and killed in the Capitol, and the video appears to show him on the scene. Sullivan told Fox News that he regularly attends protests to record what's going on, including the clash involving the Proud Boys on Tuesday near DC's Black Lives Matter Plaza. They've actually got a plaza. Okay. It's just recording solely and being active in it, he claimed, although he reportedly was arrested in connection with the protests back in Utah over the summer and admitted to climbing through the Capitol window. His Insurgents USA group website advertised an event called, quote, Kick These Fascists Out of DC, end quote, on Wednesday, around the same time as a pro-Trump rally near the National Mall. After the Trump rally, a mob of demonstrators breached the Capitol, ransacked congressional offices, and stormed the Senate floor, prompting a chorus of condemnations from members of both major parties. The breach interrupted a joint session Congress aimed at validating Joe Biden as the president-elect, and Congress reconvened later in the evening. Now, okay, Sullivan tweeted several videos taken inside the Capitol. One contained an up-close view of the fatal shooting of Babbitt, an Air Force veteran, at the barricaded Capitol door. Now, here's the thing. This guy is saying he was just there to document it all. What needs to be, what we need to ask is, again, how did you know this? But these are not the questions that are going to get asked. They're going to remove him from the equation and just make him this passerby. And then maybe he'll get somebody to get him out the same way that Camel Toe Harris got a lot of the BLM people out a while back. Because if anything is not right, it's the fact that she spent some of her money to get some folks out of one of the previous issues that was going on there in Minneapolis. But to the point that we're making right now, it just does not seem as if the people who are wrong are being held accountable. First off, if you're held up on charges in Utah, what are you doing in DC? I've never known Pookie Nim to be able to have gotten out on a bail or a bond and still get out of the state. Nobody's talking about that. What's up with that? What do you think, Black Spring? I mean, you heard his own account of him saying he was there to document it. Now, anybody else, whether it be Pookie, Ray Nim, or whether it be, all of them, none of them could ever just give that and still be able to talk to Fox News. They would be put up under the jail and you wouldn't be able to find them, especially in light of COVID. I don't know. You tell me what you think.
Well, I think that maybe even, and maybe, somebody might want to throw it in the word conspiracy, whatever, maybe he's even, maybe he's a provocateur, maybe he is already in the network. So he doesn't have a real fear because he already knows, he's already been primed, or he's already been, instructed or groomed on what to do, what the outcome in the event that this, if he were to be caught. I think that's, I think these people are, I think somebody was probably behind. He probably had some funding. He's got some protections. You get protected, when you're participating in these kinds of a thing, kinds of peaceful protest or whatever. We've just spun into
Bizarro
land, to paralysis by analysis point. New definition of love is destruction. So if you're
don't love me like that. I've already had some pretty bad love in my life. I don't need no more like that. If that's love, I don't want nothing to do with it. Ronnie says paid actors. Yeah, paid bad actors. Paid bad actors. They're really bad. They're really, but I'm just so sorry something happened and they hit me in the head and I just don't feel good.
But then what is the other point? I mean, do you guys, Is anybody familiar with like how far are other states exercising with like is it the no cash bail or cash, like kind of in New York, or a lot of these people, they were able to get out, but what program is that under in these times in which
I don't know.
you're really not going under, you're not getting any charges either, right? If you're released.
No, you do have charges.
Okay.
Even though they're released, because the whole act of bond itself is saying, in lieu of being held until your court date, we're going to let you get out with this amount of money. The issue for me is the fact that nobody's asking those basic questions that happen when Pookie and them get arrested. But Pookie and them can't even leave the county. You know what I mean? Ray Ray and Man, they can't leave the county. If they get arrested, they're not allowed out of the city, the state. They got to let their, probation officer know everywhere they're about to go. So my question is, okay, why wasn't he sent back to the place that he originally did the do? Because I know, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. This whole thing just stinks to high heaven, and it just goes to the level of depravity that this country's gone to. I mean, we've sunk to an all-time low. We have sunk to an all-time low. There's nothing else I can think about it. I mean, this cat here, he looks like he's not built for jail. Sullivan's
No,
not even built for jail.
let me put this down here. He looks like he will fold up like a paper bag in the rain.
Take that down, Ronnie. He does look like he'd fold like a bad lawn chair with the rust in it that sat out in the rain.
he can't, no, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but it's just some of these people you really don't want to see. You really don't want to see them come undone.
No, you don't. No. And no, you do not want to view his undoing. You just don't want to. You do not want to visit his undoing. And that's the sad part. The game ain't fair.
Game?
Yeah.
Did I read am I pulling the wrong one?
No, that's a good one too. He says, I even seen a video of CNN reporters directing the rioters and trying to make a movie about it at the same time. That's because all of them people over there for CNN, baby, they're gonna be let go real soon. You're gonna see a big. We talked about the whole regime change and the moving of moving out the Fox
Newsmax.
Yeah, and bringing in the Newsmax and then taking out CNN, because it's been a dying dinosaur for a minute. Financially, they have been really struggling. It's been a bomb in the Nielsen ratings.
A dying dinosaur.
Yes. It's been sitting there turning to crude for quite some time.
Right. We've got some laughs from Angela Reed. Angela.
He said, whoa, that's tacky. Old head said, whoa, that's tacky. Nah, they tacky. They millionaire tacky. So if they get let go, they're going to be just fine, because their paycheck ain't nothing like a regular person's paycheck. When you can count, what was homegirl that was getting 1.6 a month? Who is she? She's getting 1.6 million a month. They divided up her salary and said that every time she's, oh gosh, I can't remember where.
Martha, but was it Megan? No, because she's not Megyn Kelly, not her. Somebody else. It's somebody else.
Yeah, it's somebody else. And I was like, I don't feel sorry for you. If you lose your job today, I would not feel sorry for that person. I wouldn't, if they lost their job making a $1.6 million a month. If she ain't got her check left at the end of the week, she got some issues.
Yes, yeah, they're really over. I don't know. They're overpaid. They're overpaid, right?
Well, yeah, because they're actors. I mean, I'm having guests and I'm doing research on them, and it doesn't matter what I pull up, whether it be good or bad, they're going to get a question about it. They interview somebody, and the only thing that they do is harp on whatever the narrative is. I mean, you and I will interview someone and know we're going to ask about the bad that we can see publicly, because, well, if it's public, I should be able to talk to you about it. And, and it doesn't matter. I go into it, without this sense of, being obligated to just tell your side of the story. I'm going to tell you good. I'm going to tell you bad, but they don't do that. So to me, they're nothing but actors. They're not even journalists. What do you think?
No, of course not. I no, I think they're very much scripted, and and they try to give it their best. They give it their best when they go out there. There's one, what was it? The prolific Derek C. Williams. Shout out to you. Thank you for sharing out the stream. He was showing a clip of Don Lemon not too long ago, and he is always just dancing up a little storm, and I'm just thinking, and some people are just sucking up everything he says, and he'll say anything, he's ad-libbing and adding stuff to it, and I'm surprised he hadn't started singing some spirituals or something, in the middle of some of these.
I no ways tired.
I'm really, but like I said, but you're right. Some people buy his performances, but I don't, of course not.
No, he
but
doesn't play for my team anyway. Even if I did like his acting, he doesn't play for my team. So really, I don't care.
Yeah, well, I think he's one of the worst actors that they have, and I opened up with what was it, Mika and Joe, this morning. I don't know if you caught that at the very beginning, but they were acting too. Just see what buzzwords they can get to stick. They just start throwing stuff out there to see what'll stick on the wall. Just start throwing spaghetti.
I want to see what the next 4 years are going to be. They're all going to have nothing to talk about. Because if, for whatever reason, Trump decides to do like I would recommend, and that is go deep, deep, deep undercover, they ain't going to have nothing to say. What are they going to have to say? Who are they going to talk about? I'm with bated breath. I have my bowl of popcorn to wait and see.
I submit that they will attack each other. Because I think they're already doing it. They're already doing it.
I'll pay to see that.
Because maybe I should play this clip again.
Play this clip again, girl.
Can you guys handle it?
Girl, we all knew in here. We wasn't in here that early in the morning. Go ahead, show it. Show it.
All right, I will go ahead and do it. All right,
yes.
So just hang on, and we'll be right back with you. A little meltdown action.
At Facebook actually promote this extremism. They promote the extremism within.
But to her point about, getting ready for Joe Biden, if this is some sort of last minute suck up to Joe Biden by Twitter and Facebook, all you've done is shown just how impactful everything that you've been doing so far has been in terms of spreading disinformation. You have shown how it drops the minute you actually take action. You have shown that you should have done this a long time ago. And perhaps there wouldn't be people dead. Perhaps there wouldn't be people following false scientific information about the coronavirus. Perhaps there wouldn't have been some sort of insurrection at the Capitol that was promulgated all over your sites. Perhaps there wouldn't be so much hatred and disinformation. You have shown that. It drops just by one random act that you decided to take at the very last minute. I mean, really, honestly, the leadership at Facebook is pathetic.
They're
Sheryl
shameful.
Sandberg, Mark Zuckerberg, you guys are pathetic. You make absolutely no reason about your actions. You could have done this a long time ago. You decided to do it now. I wonder who's going to be president now. Maybe this will make him happy. No, you've just shown him why you need to be shut down. You need to be shut down. Nobody needs what you have to offer. You have destroyed this country, and quite frankly, it's still happening right now.
Well, and not just destroyed this country, destroyed democracies across the globe.
I'm sorry, one more thing. They're little Sheryl Sandberg, and we're going to get better. We're trying hard. We're working so hard. Who are you to say that? Follow the law. Follow the law that publishers have to follow. Follow the restrictions that anybody has to follow when they put something out in the public domain.
Well, first of all, they are publishers.
That's what they.
I'm going to translate that. Can I translate it? Did you translate it earlier when you played it?
Let's do your version. Do it. Do it.
You guys know that we're supposed to say this right now because we need for everybody, every single person that has a Facebook account to continue to be stricken. Everybody that has anything to say, we want you to take all of their accounts and throw them into the sea of the forgetfulness. We don't want anybody to have any free speech at all. It's censorship or no ship. You know that's what we're all supposed to say. And you guys know I'll be at the barbecue this weekend. Don't be upset with me because I had to do this rant because you guys already know that this rant was planned last year. We were supposed to say this on this day, and we are. So please don't be upset with me, but you guys make sure that you cancel each and every person's account that has anything to say opposite of what we think that they should say. See you Saturday.
Oh my gosh, she's a little late, right? She's a little late on the cue.
And such a poor actor, to Ronnie Mann's point. That was some bad acting. She wouldn't have even gotten a second call back. She wouldn't have made the cut. She wouldn't have got a call back. She just wouldn't have. MSNBC, yay. Let's be mad. We're going to be angry. We're incensed. No, hold on, honey. We'll talk about this when we get at the house with his little beady eyes. She runs the whole household. That's a husband and wife combo, but she should be wearing the Hillary Clinton pantsuit because she really is that chick. She is that chick. That is amazing. She was actually his ventriloquist. That's what old head said. She was. It was like, no, honey, hold on. I got it. You know, we need your job. If they fire me, honey, I can make it. You hold on. I got it. Let me just tell you something. You guys are terrible. That's code for go get them. Strike all the accounts. Get rid of everybody. That's what that's code for. Man, oh man, Shavitz.
Hey, hold on. Hold that Manischewitz. Some people need it. But
We're
yes,
coming up on a high holy day for them pretty soon, right? So they're going to need the Manischewitz and all they can get.
let's see, what do we have from Unique Views? Is they tried to get Trump supporters. It's exhausting.
Not just his supporters, but to everybody who can think for themselves. That's what it's. These people are so predictable. It's funny. It is so hilarious. You know what I'm saying? And at best, the only thing that they're going to, what they'll try to do is intimidate people and round people up and all that stuff. But the deal is that none of them could ever go toe to toe with any of the people that they would elect to round up.
No.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, well, she turned into a Karen with her phone.
Go away, get back. Big black woman coming after me with blonde hair. Go, get back. And I'm like, oh, I just was trying to reach for the artichoke there, ma'am. Could you move over? We're in the veggie aisle. Could you scoot over? I'm just like, could you move? I just want to get the artichoke. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was still at work.
She might run away. She might run away screaming to the manager. It's just
security.
So bizarre. Now you're making me want to talk about something else. I'm going to try not to go off on it, not a tangent, but and to my friends to the chat, this is all an experience that I've had. So it's not to alienate you or to make you feel that you're of the Karen ilk, or what's the other ilk? What's the ilk for the male? If it's not Karen, what do they call the male Karen? I don't know.
Karen Dawn, Karendom.
Here's the thing. Now, I noticed that, people are highly reactive. Like you walk through an aisle or you walk down if you're in the shopping center or something, and it's narrow. It's kind of narrow. And all of a sudden the person jumps off the sidewalk, jumps off the narrow walkway. Oh, I'm sorry. And I'm just thinking, what exactly are you sorry about? What are you responding to?
I know about that.
If you happen to brush my shoulder, I'm not gonna cross you. It's not. That's not gonna happen either.
Not today.
But it's almost like they're absolutely afraid that something bad's gonna happen if I pass this person on this narrow strip next to these shoes on this table. I gotta get out. I had no way to run. I had to get off the course.
I think it's interpretation too at that moment, because I have seen a lot of people with this apologetic look in their face. And I think it's because these poor folks, and I'm going to just say it, and I've said it before, I feel bad for men. I feel bad for Black men. I really feel bad for white men. I feel bad for white women. I really feel bad for women. Here is my point. Let's just take 2 of those 4 people out of that category. I feel really bad for white men and women right now, because unfortunately they have been played, because they have purchased the idea, because they just want to get along with everybody. They have Black friends and they're just looking at the news and like, oh my God, do you see what they did to the Black people now? So a lot of people are walking around with this apologetic side. Now there's another set that's walking around being very mean and evil. And that again is because of the propaganda that's been out there. When we all can think of people that we know and love of other ethnicities that we love. Okay. And we never had a problem with them. But I think what's happened over the last, and I'm going to just say 16 years, follow me on this, the last 16 years, they have been beat and beat and beaten and beaten and beaten with this narrative that we have not been able to speak up for ourselves and say, I don't have a problem with you. If you were Black and you treat me bad, I ain't going to deal with you. And if you white and you treat me bad, I ain't going to deal with you. Conversely, the opposite is true. If you treat me good, no matter what shade of skin you got, I'm going to treat you good because we ain't got no beef with each other. But I believe that they have built up these narratives, from a Black man approaches an elevator and the woman clutches her purse. That was used at first to separate. And then when they found it needful to have everybody looking caramel colored and green eyed by 2030, 2050, then they started showing Cheerio commercials with their very sacred and I'm using some of their own propaganda from way back in the day when they were, really getting on, the Black man in the community. Oh, don't let the Black man come because they use this marijuana. And when they use this marijuana, they will come out and they will attack your white wives and our precious white daughters. So it's like they use the evils that they create against the people that they want to manipulate. And it's not just the Black people that get manipulated with this. Unfortunately, the white folks do too, unfortunate for both, but they do too. And so when you see them jumping off the side of the thing, I'm sorry, they don't want you to take offense. Oh, I don't want to offend you. Dude, you're not offending me. Walk on the side. We can say, excuse me. And like Black Spring just said, if we happen to brush up against each other, it's cool. This Black ain't gonna run off on you. This brown ain't gonna run off on you. This copper color, because I'm more copper than Black. Copper color ain't gonna run off on you. Let's stop being so sensitive about each other. I think that's it. And I think if enough of us start to say that, more people will realize to just relax. It's calm. But do you see, Black Spring, what has happened with the propaganda and how that machine works? You tell a lie enough, it's gonna become truth.
It works. It absolutely works. And you're right. It's going across the board. All of the things that, should I say some of them that we melanated people maybe have fallen for, they're going to try it on everybody because it works. Not only does it work, it plays with it's playing with their minds. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't need anybody to save me or save me from myself. I don't, but I do think that some people are getting into things for the wrong reasons. Because you're being played.
You're being played.
In which the Lockhart perspective is so eloquently described. You are doing things in a savior. It's in a mechanism with savior in the vessel.
I agree.
You're moving around as more in the savior capacity, which you can't even save me from myself. And we can't save ourselves from the elite. That's what we can't do.
Well, no, I can. Because you remember, and we can save ourselves from them because we already know who has the saving power, right?
Yes.
When all the water is boiled out of the pot, when all the water is boiled out of the pot and all you got is that last little fizzle, where your hope, where our hope comes from. And so because we know where our hope comes from, we ain't tripping. But to our point about what we're chatting about is, it is most assuredly a problem when we consider the fact that they have pressed on. I'm going to use the white man as an example. You know, they have beat him down so much, and I'm gonna get to the black brother. Excuse me, but they have beat the white man down so much. You know, it's because of it's because of the white man and the white man's supremacy and all this other stuff. I don't give you that power, sir. I don't give you that power. In order for you to have that type of, just the thought itself that happens is a sense of supremacy from the person who's saying it. So you're looking as you are God, and you're trying to look down on the earth as if it's a, schematic. You got the eyes, and your eyes are the schematic. You can see all the problems and locate all the issues in each and every region. And the way that you are able to tell us that the white man has this sense of supremacy would mean that I subscribe to that I've given you that power over me. And I've not given my power to a human. So where a lot of white guys now don't even want to say hi because they're afraid of how it will be received, you can also shift that to the black man. Why? Because it's not about the color of the man. It is about the fact that the man is the stronger of the sexes. If it were not so, they would not be switching everybody into different roles. Okay. They would not have the woman being the stronger person in the household and the man being the weaker. It wouldn't be all the commercials now geared toward the woman in the leisure suit and the husband standing at the sink when the camera pans in. She's in the leisure suit headed out. The kids are playing on the carpet, and the man then turns around and trips over a child's Lego. If you've seen that commercial, and then all of a sudden his wife's white leisure suit is now damaged. So it's all of that stuff that's happening that puts us in a position to now follow suit with whatever we have been trained to believe or think. They are after the man. And that is the reason why I believe that the woman's job, if she's awake enough to understand her position, that she will still do the things that she needs to do to maintain the household. Now, I know we're getting off on a different tangent, but the assault from the beginning and the inception was on the family. Okay. And in the black community, it really wreaked havoc because our children are the ones who are born mostly in single parent households. Our children are the ones who are suffering because mom's not at home. Across the board, it's happening, but I'm dealing now on this part of the conversation specifically with us, is that it is a problem because we've allowed ourselves to believe the hype. I don't need no man. I'm an independent woman and I don't need no man. And that's, for people across the board. But the truth about the matter is that we do need each other. Women, you do need a man. If you stop saying that stupid stuff, maybe you'd get a good one. Some of us are good women and have bad ones. But with that said, the fact is that we are believing to a certain extent some of the trash that goes on, maybe not all, but to a great extent, we are believing it. And I think that's a problem. The breakdown of the family is the major part of our entire conversation. They would not have been able to do any of the things that they've done over the past 30 years if the family in and of itself as a whole were still intact. If the women did not believe the rhetoric of, I'm independent. I don't need this. I can do it by myself. Sometimes you got to learn how to, and I know a lot of women aren't going to like this, but sometimes you got to learn to grin and bear it. If he ain't going upside your head. Okay. If he ain't doing a whole lot of bad stuff where it's going to definitely be detrimental to you. If you claim that you believe in God, then you need to learn how to get down someplace and hush. And I know that sounds crazy, but think of it. How long are your children? And I know a lot of people say, don't stay for the sake of the children. Do you know where that came from? That came from people who wanted your children. They don't want that man around. They want you to constantly be in his ear every time he's trying to discipline the son. You're a woman. Sit down and be quiet. I know there's a lot of women ain't going to like it, but I'm going to say it. Hey, I've earned it. I'm old. Okay. So with that said, sometimes we need to realize that it is a plot and that sometimes we can stand through some of the things that we don't think we can stand through. Get yourself someplace and have some quiet time with the Father, and you'll find that he'll give you strength to deal with so much stuff. You'll be running your household and not even tripping on the fact that you're not working outside the house. I'm sure you got some type of great talent that you can do in the house by yourself. I mean, maybe you make hair bows. I have a good friend who happens to be white, and she homeschooled all 5 of their children. And she made hair bows and then made a very good, lucrative online business with it, still homeschooling her kids. What's my point? We all got a role. We all got a place. These things that we're dealing with in America would not be upon us, in my opinion, if we had stayed in the lane that we were made to stay in. I want to say this before closing. If you are on a football team and your position is wide receiver, why are you trying to play tackle? Wide receiver, that cat ain't that wide. Wide receiver, don't let the name fool you. You may be the name wide receiver, but generally you about the slimmest cat on the team. Why are you trying to play defensive tackle? Why are you out there with the big dogs? Stay over there in your lane. You're going to get popped. And when you get popped by the right cat, you may not be able to come back. We all have a role and a place. The problem was that I suggest dating out of your region. And then above that, old head says, I don't bother my wife. She doesn't bother me. Try to keep the home happy. Well, even with that old head, I would submit that some people, not necessarily you, because I don't know your personal business, but I'm going to take what you've just said and I'm going to plop it over here in this analogy. I don't bother my wife and she doesn't bother me. We try to keep the home happy. That it could be received as avoidance, and avoidance eventually has a point where you reach a pinnacle where there's an explosive time. Now, that explosive time may only happen 2 times a year or 3 times a year, but it does come down to, some people, not you, but some people will then begin to fight in a very mean way. They won't fight fairly. It'll be a bunch of, let me tell you something. There have been some things done in my life where, spouse wise, where if you see my strength here, but that is not the strength I use with my spouse, right? I don't use this strength with my spouse. With the spouse, it's supposed to be, honey, it's supposed to be, okay, no problem. All right, I'll do it. And you may not feel like you want to do it right then, but do it as unto the Lord and you'll be straight. But a lot of times when people just, I got my man cave, I got my woman cave. If there's not a good relationship, which I'm sure you guys both have, old head Deuce, then, it's if they don't have a good relationship, then that type of distance is going to build a bridge for somebody else to come in and take up. And so what I say to women is if there is an issue where you feel like you just can't handle it anymore, then you need to find wise counsel and sit down and talk, because there's a lot of things that, you'll make a declaration. Okay, I'm going to do this, and this is going to be what I'm going to hold my head to, and I'm just going to do good, and this relationship's going to work because I'm going to make it work. Well, believe me, when you say that, you're going to be tried. You will be tried. As soon as you say what you're going to do in any relationship, whether it be at work or whatever, you will be tested on that thing. And that's just a matter of fact. But getting back to, the family has been disintegrated, and it was disintegrated on purpose. If you remove all the morals out of the household, and then you remove, take the regulator out, which daddy is usually the regulator. Mom pretty much takes whatever the household's going to do, and she makes sure that it's all running. But the father is the one that says, oh no, we're not handling it. You dating at what age? 12? Oh no, ma'am, go sit down. And the mom better shut up and just go along with that. Why? Because if not, you're going to be taking care of them kids when she come bringing them to the house. So that's a part of the problem, is that we have made the guy the one that is the bad guy. We've made the man the bad guy. We made him the weaker one. We put up the woman to have the strength. And then we're wondering why all this stuff is going on. Now you got to work, mama. Now you got to work. And how much, I marvel. I'm going to say this and then I'll let this go. I always marvel at young girls when I would interview them and they got like 2 or 3 kids, right? And they are with a husband. And then she's saying, I'm like, okay, so you want to work and blah, blah, blah. We're chatting. And then I just ask her, let me ask a question. Um, I see here at this particular point on your resume where you had like, a whole 1 year span away from working. What were you doing in that time? Oh, I had just had a baby and I was with the baby. And now I just want to get out. I just want my own money. Who gonna watch your baby is my mindset now. So you're going to go and pay $150 a week. This gig that I'm offering you is no more than $10 an hour. So you're going to pay $150 a week for a baby, because that's a little baby in a diaper. 150, 175, depending upon the region. And now you're down to how much? And then you got taxes. And then you got to have lunch. And then you got to put gas in the car. So how much are you really making and how much are you contributing? Are you much more of a detriment to your household? I submit, yes, you are. Because now the kids are picking up all different types of values from different types of places. And it's just not good. It's not conducive to creating the type of America that we claim we want. We got to put the onus on who it really belongs to. It belongs to us. Some people say, well, they need 2 people take 2 people to work. No, it doesn't. Sorry to say it. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. If you've got that one that's, let's make things equal. Let's say they both got good sense. The husband goes out and he works. The wife tills and takes care of the household. She takes care of the children. She does what she needs to do to keep everything running and flowing well, so that his mind is not worried about what's going on at the house. So he can work well and he comes home and things are in order. If things are in order and people submit to the leadership of the elders in their lives and in their households and in their communities, then they probably wouldn't have half of those problems. So he goes to work, she's home, she's taking care of the whole entire house. He's wondering, boy, these towels sure smell great when he comes to take a shower. The kids are pretty much in order and everything is good. And the kids got the toys put up by the time, she knows he's coming home at 6:00, gets off at 5, takes about, an hour to come home in traffic. All right. She's got everything prepared. If you get in your place, we'll probably get our country back because we can do it one household at a time. Now, the issue is, how do we deal with the lack that's going on outside of our household? Well, I submit that if you have a spouse that you can listen to and you trust him and you hush just a little bit, he might show you that he knows some stuff if you're not always the one trying to run everything. And that's Eve's problem. Eve's problem is she tries to run everything. And we can't do that. We can't do that. We cannot do that. You see what happens when a cat follows a woman. In many instances in the Bible, you see what happens when a cat follows a woman. It becomes an issue. Okay? I'm just going to set that out there. The whole eating of the fruit, which was not an apple. That whole piece was him hearing what God told him and then turning right around and being seduced the same way that Eve was. Eve was seduced. That seduction was not what people think it was. It was beguiling. It was seduction. It was a sexual sin. Now, you guys, go study that out yourself. But that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? That's the issue. We want so much to have this soul sense of independence. I'm sorry. I don't like working. I don't like doing all that other stuff. I'm of an age now where I can choose, which I don't do now. Thank God. I just made that declaration the other night that no, this is what I do full time. Ronnie Mann says this part of the conversation has me needing to publicly proclaim just how much I love my helpmeet, and he has an astounding helpmeet. His wife is stellar, and she's got a stellar husband. And so, yeah, Ronnie is absolutely right. This is the hub of all of our problems, Black Spring. This is the hub of America's issue. We allowed a lot of people from out of our country who had very demonic mindsets to come in and try to push and promulgate the whole burning of the bra thing. Some of us need to keep those on. I'm sorry. Some of that ain't attractive. Okay. Some of those really, some of us need them. You keep those on. No. They weren't talking about you. No, keep that on. It's the whole burning of the bra. It's the, I can be a man too. It's the whole then there's Maude thing. And for people who are in my age category close to 60, you know who Maude is and was. You know that whole entire series or that whole entire time frame was everybody trying to be the man, Black Spring. Everybody was trying to be the man.
That sounds like a show. That's that. And I don't want to sing the theme song.
Oh,
Please don't make me.
the freedom rider. I forgot.
Is that a watch party? That's
Yes. Okay. So yes. So you guys, we're gonna work on the watch party too. Wait a minute. Ronnie says, "Is that the top of your socks?" That's an inside joke.
Okay.
I gotta mute her. I'm gonna choke.
You guys are killing me. You're killing me. But I really appreciate, man, we've gotten into quite a few things on this segment, and we've had quite a few laughs.
Unique view.
And we're still having laughs.
Look at Unique View. Autumn, pull up Unique View. With band-aids on them. They got band-aids because they've been scraping across that asphalt, crossing the street. Now those double D's got band-aids. Benson, yes. Lord, that boy said double D's. Is Unique View a boy or girl?
I don't know. Here's your chance, Unique View.
That was funny, Angela Rowland. That was funny though. Double D's down to the knees. And Ronnie said, "Is that your socks?"
There you go.
Your socks. And the reason why he's saying that is because we're just laughing, talking about, sometimes as we get older, stuff starts to go south. And it doesn't matter what you do. If you think that the Instagram thought body is real, half the Instagram thought bodies that you think you looking at, the thoughts ain't the thoughts. The thoughts is the thoughts. The thoughts are the men, and you think it's a chick, but it ain't a chick. Okay. And so a lot of us, look at she say, my granny would throw them over her shoulder. She called the bras boulder holders. Yeah, over the shoulder boulder holders. So your granny must be in my age category, because that's what we used to say too. That's funny. And I'm glad we can laugh at those things, you guys. That is true. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that if we don't do anything but dedicate at least one show on each channel per week or a month or something, just about, getting the family back together, just getting the things that, we know works. You know what I'm saying? Because we can all think of some pretty bad fathers, and we can definitely think of some pretty bad moms out there. But if we just focus ourselves on getting into the word and just doing what the word says, I mean, what do you think? Do you think Black Spring will have good luck if we just do what the word says?
I think I think it's easy enough. I think rather than reinventing the wheel or alternative, so much emphasis on, so much outside influences. I think it's easier to follow a structure, and if it's already laid out, I would go against. I wouldn't go against the grain. For me, I think the balance is better that way.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, because I know that, a lot of women are still in the dating range. And it's not that I'm asking you because you're in the dating range, age group or whatnot. Do you find that, excuse me, do you find that a lot of women who, I don't know how to say this because it has so many different prongs to it. Here, let me just make a statement. I believe that there are a lot of women out there that are really good women, but a lot of guys see them as being too strong exterior wise, but they've no idea that if they were to try to talk to that lady, there are some women who understand how to be, the helpmeet, like Ronnie described. And that's what I want from my sons. I pray for them. I hope all the time. I just stand in the gap, pray, oh, please give them a good woman. Please give them a good woman. But do you find that a lot of men maybe don't approach women because they have a fear of being rejected. I remember, years and years ago, of course, when I was like high school, early college, where there was a lot of guy friends that I had, and I didn't find out until later that they actually liked me. My goofy behind just thinking that's my friend. And then I find out years later, man, I had the biggest crush on you. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you say anything? It would have saved me a whole bunch of bums. I went through a whole bunch of bums looking for the good guy. So I don't know. What do you think, Black Spring?
I do think that I will say that kind of going back to the effeminate culture, the 60s, I think a lot of that has crept into the culture and the family structure. I think there's a bias that we don't really know that's still affecting, even I think men rearing their kids, they don't, it just seems that men are afraid to assert or just live in that or go with their natural authority. And look, we've had an entire movement, a Me Too movement, that also tried to squelch or suppress that. So I do think that men have been, they've had a lot of things thrown at them to say, oh, well, you've been doing things wrong all this time, and your natural authority is not right. You're supposed to know how to cry, or you're supposed to know how to be as emotive as I am. And if you don't,
I don't want no man that act like me. I don't want no man that act like me.
You don't want a man who thinks he looks better than you.
No, not like, no. Okay, that either. But no, I mean, I don't want to. No, but I mean, it's like, I don't want a man who is emotional like me. I have friends that are around me that are male friends. I'll use Ronnie as an example. He is so spot on all the time. And I don't want males in my life that are emotional like me, because a woman is we're emotional creatures. It's the way that we were created. So I don't want to be married to a guy that's, all, look, dude, I'm gonna need to see, here come my strength. When you start acting all weak, I'm like, yo.
Well, here's the thing. The thing that I remember specifically was, to me, that natural masculinity, or to see my neighbor grab my brother or my brother grab my neighbor out. And I thought that was
what happened.
Well, I'm saying, like, when the boys will be boys kind of thing, like not chastising them for playing rough. Like, I just thought, oh, that's my brother's friend. And, that's just what boys do. To me, it was natural for boys to do things that were masculine. It's natural for them to say, okay, no, cousin, she's a girl. Don't pull her, don't yank her arm the same way you just did his. But also, I'm saying I'm talking about the physical, but you also, but I've also seen my cousins cry, like my male cousins cry, but I don't want, but it was never to the degree that I was crying. You know what I mean?
What do you mean, like at a death or a passing of somebody?
No, just like growing up, like if they become emotional or something, they wanted to hide it. They wanted to.
How old of a boy are we talking?
It's like an 8 or 9. Like they don't want you to see them crying and that kind of a bit. But now it's like the narrative is, the culture is, oh, you need to be crying, or you need to be emotive, or he needs to be. If he doesn't describe your pregnancy as beautiful and, in the same way that you do, then he's just not sensitive to your needs. Or I don't want a man like that. But it's kind of gross. But then now you're making me go into man buns and stuff. That's not the stuff.
Man buns and satchels.
Man buns and no,
man buns and Merces.
And I'll tell you, there's one particular person who was a celebrity who ended up during the summer. I think maybe the husband was carrying the child, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they got a nanny. Turns out it was the husband with the man, but half up, half down with the man bun.
Wow.
And I thought it was a woman.
Who was it? Do you remember?
Yes.
Say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
It was a tennis star. The Williams. her husband
Oh
was wearing.
God. Well,
I mean, what happened? I mean, is that what he had to do? I mean, I just
he's
and
a
that's a
he's a
whole nother
bazillionaire. He's a bazillionaire.
story
But
because
that is, oh God, let's
alpha
get into it.
woman.
You know what? We'll do
No,
them on my show. We'll do them on my show.
I'm
We'll
going to
do them
wrap
on-
this up. I'm going to have to wrap this one up.
Well, we'll talk about them on my show. When I come on later tonight, you got to come on and we got to talk about the man.
Why is this happening? What? Look at Rachel.
We got to talk about the man bun. Well, okay, you guys, we're going to talk about the man bun tonight on my show. I don't know what time. I can come on anytime. Here I was last night wrapping up the show because I thought, okay, I got to take the kids to school in the morning because they're going back to regular school, right? Yo, it's Martin Luther the King Day. Ain't nobody going nowhere. But no,
You
we'll
said
do that on my
Luther the King.
yeah, Martin Luther the King. Martin Luther the King. Because my little brother, when we were little, he said, Martin Luther the King. Martin Luther the King. So yeah, but no, we'll do that one on my show. We're gonna talk about that tonight. I do want to talk about the Merces and the man buns. Man buns.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't mean to get in. I mean, I didn't really mean to take you there with the man.
No,
buns.
no, I'm gonna do it. What time? 6
Sleeping.
o'clock. 6 o'clock my time. No, yeah, like 6 o'clock my time.
Sleeping.
6
Sleeping buns.
Yes,
Sleeping man buns.
buns. Senna
Okay.
buns.
But what I am going to take the time to do, I'm going to go ahead and thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm gonna thank the patrons and thanks so much for everybody for tuning in on your Monday, and it's also your MLK Day. If you know, whatever you whatever makes you happy today, and then I think tomorrow is the it's the beginning of the popcorn week. You know, National Popcorn Day starts tomorrow.
What is that? What is that? What is that popcorn? What is this about?
I don't know. It's National Popcorn Day. I said it was today, but it's not today. It's tomorrow.
Okay, but who made these days up though, Autumn?
Who knows? Just knock on wood that we don't have a man bun day.
I mean,
yet.
Well, think about it.
Like I said, they keep
the
making up
National-
these random these.
National
know.
Popcorn Day. How about Natural Podiatrist Day for all the people that's walking around in those Louboutins?
Look at Ronnie, man.
Rome. We're gonna talk about the man buns tonight. We're gonna talk about man buns and Merces. So don't come to the channel tonight if you're not ready to be honest about your quest with man buns. If you've aspired to have a man bun, then the Lockhart Perspective is for you tonight. If you wanted a man bun, but you were just too ashamed to tell it. Cinnabuns.
The man bun affiliates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to thank the Lockhart Perspective for all of her candor and for her, she cuts right through and she shines like a light. She just cuts right through and gives up the con on these elite and some of these structural vices that are going on in the world of a bizarro land world. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give you an infomercial followed by, actually I'll do the commercial for the sponsors and then we'll do the censorship infomercial. Okay, we'll be right back, and I'll thank you guys in the chat so much. I'll be right back. Hang on, I'm sorry about that. I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you guys so much for all.
Wait
that
a
you do.
minute. I
And
want to tell everybody, wait. If you guys want to know how you can get your name on there with Anthony Scioli and all those great people, that is the Patreon. Please go to Patreon. And she is there on Patreon. So if you guys want to hear stuff that you can't hear here, that's where you need to go. You can just, every month, it'll just come out. It can be as little as how much, Black Spring?
a book.
$1 a month. $1 a month to hear what she really thinks. I think mine is at $2 a month on Patreon, but I don't have any, but I have one Patreon, my brother.
No way.
Not my brother, it's just one person. And so I'm like, he can see what I'm doing. He could just call me and find out what I really think. But no, hers is just $1 a month, you guys. And that is Patreon. The link is right there in the description. Won't you guys consider picking that link up today and joining Black Spring with Autumn? As you know, she's got so many great things. You guys see that she has the mugs there. She's also on several different platforms. And I think that it is a great investment. I know I'm going to go and put my buck a day. I'm going to go do my buck today. My buck a day will start today. And I just want to encourage everybody that that's one of the ways that you can support the channel, and you can actually help the channel do and say things that you want to hear. Excuse me. You'll be able to hear a lot of the stuff that we cannot say here. And believe me, we did talk about the over-the-shoulder boulder holders and all that good stuff that Steve Willis just came in the chat and mentioned. But if you want to hear what she really thinks, if you really want to know, you know, what's going on, then go on over there and take the time today to get your buck a day. It's just $1, and your name as well will be on that list of people who are the supporters of the channel. I'm excited to see that sheet just get longer and longer and longer, because that means I know people are getting the good information that Black Spring with Autumn has to offer. That's done.
Well, what can I say? I really appreciate that from the Lockhart perspective. And also, I always encourage you guys to get over to, you know, to get over to the Lockhart perspective. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I need to tell you guys, I don't think I need to tell you guys that this whole censorship war is really ramping up. And as you could see, that infomercial was inspired by some of the channels being yanked down, even midstream. You know, I've already, that is my survival, you know, in the event that, you know, emergency, you know, or if I'm yanked down or if I become incapacitated, please go to the infomercial site, or go to the community tab where you'll find the options that I'm coming up with. Because I said the other day, there's going to be a newsletter that's going to come out. I think that's going to hit the Patreon first, and then I will bring it. I'll be bringing it here, but you'll need to sign up for the e-blast in order to get on that, because I'm going to stay here, or as the Anarchy Television says, I'm going to ride until the wheels fall off. I'm going to do that. I'm going to commit to that. But
she's committed. Unlike me, who's committable.
It does help. It does help, you know, any support that you guys can lend. I mean, you guys are supporting right now just by being here. But yes, you do know that it kind of brought me, you know, Parler has been, you know, a buzzword. And in fact, the family's even dealing with some intimidation. So
he's gone into hiding, right?
Yes. They
I heard the president's in hiding as well.
Well, I mean, I'm going to drop that link for that. I'm going to drop that link out here. But I do want to thank you guys so much for all that you do. And for those that have taken the opportunity to feed the AI, you know, that helps us out around here. But I'm always happy to have you guys here on whatever level of support that you can lend to this channel. And I want to thank the Lockhart Perspective again for coming in. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a roll call to wind us down and pack us up and say so long. So I'm going to start with The Game Ain't Fair. You look like you're new around here. Thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Ronnie Mann. My gosh, Ronnie Mann, you're turning into the gold standard stripe around here. Get on board.
Yeah,
Get on
everybody
board
should
with
go to
Ronnie
his
Mann.
channel too. Go to his channel too, you guys. Let me pull this here. If you hear my theme song, it is Ronnie Mann literally singing it as well as the background. I know a lot of people know that I'm a vocalist, but that is not me. My producer, who has worked with me for years, she is my vocal coach, and said, wow, I really like your tenor because I sing contralto. So I'm first, second soprano, all the way down to, I said, that's not me. That's the man who wrote the song. Please go to Ronnie Mann's channel and check out all of his music. He is humble. He's not going to say it. And the Bible says to let another person, I'm not a man, but let another man boast you, not your own lips. So go listen to his channel. You'll be so amazed.
Thank you so much, Ronnie Mann. And let's see. We have also Angela Reed. Thank you so much for coming in. And Old Head Deuce is always here. I appreciate it. I think some people are gone for now, but I really appreciate you guys. I don't want to miss anyone. The Definition of Anarchy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And you guys should get over to see the Definition of Anarchy. He's a fantastic, very, very to the point and fantastic content creator, a freedom lover, a true freedom lover. I believe it. And Unique View, thank you so much for coming in. And who else do we have? Mad Militant. I think you're new around here. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming in. Oh, this is the backup. Okay, I got it. You're double fisting IDs. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Paralysis by Analysis. I thank you so much for your support and always stimulating the chat. And Angela Reed, Unique View. Let the Truth Be Told. He had to get out. And I appreciate it so much for coming in, for your support. Old Head Deuce. Awesome Alice. Thank you so much. It's nice to see you here and you supporting the channel. And let me see. I think that might round us out. If I did miss you, please don't take it any other way other than an oversight. And can remind me the next time if I miss you. Rachel Van Ziel, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing that article with me the other day, Rachel. I really appreciate it. And Anarchy Television, thank you so much for being here. And so that looks like, and thanks so much to Derek C. Williams for sharing out the stream earlier. I really appreciate it. And that's ultra level on the AI, and also making sure you're still subscribed. And the Lockhart Perspective, I appreciate you for coming in and supporting the channel like you do. And yes, do you have any final words for us for today? Do you have anything inspiring, extra? Well, you're always inspiring, but do you have anything extra you'd like to add to the flavor? Or
I
are you gonna save it
don't.
for the popcorn?
I'm gonna save it for I got to do. No, I'm just tonight at 7. We're going to be talking about the man and woman relationship. That's what we're going to talk about, and we are going to deal with the man buns. And when we women put on too much weight in the relationship, we end up with Cinnabons as kneecaps. So we're going to be talking about the Cinnabons, the over-the-shoulder boulder holders. We're going to be talking about the relationships tonight at 7:00. It's going to be a blast. So that's really all. And you have to be there unless you're, watering the cat or doing something. You got to be there. Yeah, I mean, some people water the cats and leave the water there for the kitty.
Well,
So,
let's just say
yeah.
the only thing that I've been held back, but it's been by an unripened avocado. I got duped in my order.
You got duped in your order. What does that mean? Duped in your order?
I got duped because it's the avocado is too ripe. I can't do anything with it. So I got to move on to something else. I can't find something else to eat.
Oh my God.
All of the avocados are like too ripe. So, even the knife wouldn't go through. That's,
What is this you speak of with the avocadoans? It's the
avocadoites.
It's the avocadoite. Oh my God. Yeah. There you go, Ronnie. We got a new one. We need you to look that up. Tell us the truth about the avocados, the avocadoites.
Yeah. Well, it's not, I will try not to let them hold me down today.
Yeah, don't let those avocados hold you down, girl.
So yeah, once again, I appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you guys on the next live stream, in the comment section, in a video, maybe a moonlight stream. And if we're good, if we're all good, even for more popcorn on popcorn day. So I'll see you guys around, and have a great Monday. Thank you, Lockhart Perspective.
Thank you, doll.